Hi, friends! Welcome to Nature Check, the show where you come for the game and stay for the science. This is not the content you normally see on this channel because we're branching out and trying new things. And everyone's upset at me now. Thank you.
No, it's good.
It's good. Good start. I like it.
Excellent. It can only go up from here. But yes, this is the show where scientists and science enthusiasts play TRPGs and talk about how knowledge of real-world science enhances your TRPG playing experience. You know that if you are watching us live, you can find the social media handles for all of these fine folks down in the reference section, along with a link to join us in our Discord where we post memes and things, and also the schedule for our upcoming streams, since we do different things on different Sundays. You also know that you can share us with your friends and your enemies on YouTube and anywhere you cast pods. I think that's about it as far as the sort of housekeeping stuff goes. I'm going to let our game master introduce what it is exactly we're doing here today. So all that's left for me to do is introduce me. I'm Sheryl. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a PhD student studying ecology at the University of Illinois at Chicago. When I'm not doing my research, I'm also a science communicator, and you can find me on the internet as the Roving Naturalist. For this campaign, I will be playing Meldy, who uses they, them pronouns, and is a Ketra, so basically a humanoid that's been heavily genetically modified by a contaminant from the plants in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, accurate.
Alrighty. And I will pass it along to Vikram.
Hi, I'm Vikram Baliga. I am a lecturer of horticulture and a manager of a greenhouse and horticultural garden, soon to be assistant professor of practice of horticulture. Actually, I think by the time the next time we stream, I will have officially gotten promoted. Or it doesn't mean anything. It just makes my business card longer. I am playing an ectus, which is a giant cactus guy, and my pronouns are he, him. So are my character Carn's, and he's a big cactus and has 0 bones. No bones. We're going to talk a lot about that, I think.
Yep. And you should pass it to someone.
Yes, I should. How about you, Brian?
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Lovett. My pronouns are he, him. I'm an insect pathologist at the USDA, and I'm going to be playing Trem, who is a Gao, which is a fungus-type person. So I have a long, radiating fungus body. I'll pass it over to Johanna.
I think your choices were a bit limited, but I'll take it. I'm Johanna. I'm a master's student at Ohio State, and I'm playing Cork. She's a completely normal person. She's actually a chelicerae, which is a hive mind of roaches.
And I guess that leaves me. I'm Felix Isaacs, and I'm not a sciencey person. I'm a righty person. And in fact, I wrote the game we're playing this evening, which is, well, this afternoon for most people, probably. Definitely this evening for me. It is called The Wild Sea. And to give you the kind of one sentence thing, it is a game set in a world where nature has run rampant and everything has been destroyed by a forest that grew to several miles high. And the survivors of this cataclysmic event and their descendants now exist on those treetops, sailing it like a sea in chainsaw-proud ships. Or much stranger ships, which I think is probably going to be the watchword for this. So I'll throw it back to you, Sheryl.
That's all I had. So yeah, we're ready to start the game. I think you said we were starting as ourselves.
Yeah, but first I'm going to ask a few questions. The Wild Sea is very fiction focused, and I'll be as open with everyone else listening as I was with you people. I have no plan because The Wild Sea is a game that defies planning and prep. But what it does have is some tools to make in-game planning and prep much easier and much faster. So the first thing I do is ask you a few unsetting questions. These are questions about the world. They try and get us into the right kind of headspace to be in a really, really weird world, which is not common to most kinds of fiction or fantasy. You don't normally have this many trees. So, yeah. The first question of our unsettling questions is, you have been traveling for several days on your ship. What's something you ran into that was a minor hazard, easily bypassed? This could be nature, it could be animal, it could be anything. And you just make it up as you go.
Is this every one of us should answer all of these questions, or are we
Yep, you can all answer. Yeah. Okay. And your answers can conflict as well, I don't mind.
Yeah. I know from having played this once briefly before, there are carnivorous plants hanging out in the canopy or in the sea, right? So perhaps we sailed past some of those, and the little mantis sentries on our ship sort of had a tiny combat with the carnivorous plants. So we had to sort of skirt around them to make sure we didn't lose any of our mantids.
I remember we were going over some particularly thorny branches, but because of the navipede limbs of our ship, we were able to hold ourselves away from the branch and easily climb around it.
Came up on one of the many plateaus and encountered some kind of unknown creatures, or unknown to us, that seemed dangerous. So instead of taking the short route across it, we decided to travel the large trees around it.
I think I remember we have a particularly stealthy ship. Maybe we saw, before we encountered, some suspicious individuals on the wild sea that we were able to avoid.
I can live with that. That's all good. And now a question which isn't rooted in what's happened to you, but rooted in what your character might think about the world. You're heading towards an island. What's one rumor you've heard about it?
I heard that people don't like to go there.
I'm going to write that one down.
I've heard that the city is entirely different during the day from what it is at night.
I like that.
I've heard that one of the reasons people don't like to go there is one of the differences at night is it becomes considerably more dangerous. However, a lot of the secrets we're looking for may only be able to be found at night in this place.
Okay.
We've heard that there's an extensive trade network, and this is a major hub.
Okay.
Nice.
I like it. Now, I got to take my little 5 minutes, but I will ask you one more question, which is perfect. A secret about your character that you don't want me to know about.
Perfect. Oh my goodness. A secret that we don't want the game master, the Firefly, to know about our character.
We're going to tell him in a second.
I don't know. I think maybe it's just for us to share amongst ourselves.
Do we talk about it in 5 minutes before he gets
back?
back?
I think so.
Okay.
Oh, man.
I gotta come up with something good. I don't know.
Yeah.
What's secret about cacti?
Well, especially because you just woke up not that long ago, right?
Yeah. Okay, I think my secret that I don't want him to know about is, since I've woken up, I've had really disturbing dreams. Nothing I can really put my finger on, but I always wake up with just sort of a sense of kind of dread about the future.
Okay.
I saw an elbow. I hope he's not back.
I know, right?
He's actually right off camera.
Yeah.
Taking notes.
I think Meldy, even though like the Ketra are people sort of from within caverns and caves, and even though one of my oh my goodness, my Myers has something to do with being sort of uncomfortable in open spaces, I think Meldy is uncomfortable in the dark. I don't think they like, you know, dark spaces and not being able to sort of like, you know, even though also no eyes and no bones, like the dark is a different world. Yeah.
Well, I have luminous patches and we have glowing moss on our ship, so you should be in pretty good shape.
Yay, night lights.
So one quirk that I came up with for my character is that the consistency of my body is kind of gelatinous. And if there's really high moisture, then I can use that to sort of inflate or become sort of like tougher. And if it's really, really dry, then I'll start to dry out and become quite thin. And I think one thing that might be a good secret is that if I dry out completely, then I have to be soaked and revive, and it takes some time. So I am trying not to dry out completely.
Wait, you mean like if you dry out completely, you'll just sort of be a husk laying on the floor?
I'll just turn into like a revivable but very flat and not useful friend.
Noted.
But I'll come back. I just need some water.
Okay, but
I'm
like
kind of picturing the little sponge like pills you used to throw in the bath, and they would turn into
dinosaur.
a,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is desiccation a worry for all the members of this party?
I think it's got to
We
be
have
right.
no bones.
We're all gonna dry out.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'm a cactus, so
You've
Yeah.
got adaptations.
I'm all
against
right.
it. Yeah, you're all
Handle
right.
it.
Yeah.
Oh boy. I mean, I'm just thinking of things he could use against me.
Right.
Cork has an extensive family that are still spitborn.
Oh,
They're
good.
still back home.
Your extensive family has an extensive family.
Yeah. There's a lot of roaches everywhere. And they're all related.
That's so good. Oh my gosh. Okay, that brings up a really great nerdy question. If all of the rest of them are still spitborn and you're now out sailing the wild sea, does that mean there could be speciation happening because you've been geographically separated from the rest of your family?
Yeah, maybe individuals from Cork's body, if they were to go back, they could not. Well, there's in social roaches, there's actually a lot of inbreeding.
Yeah.
So I'll just get that out of there. If they went back, maybe they wouldn't be able to mate.
Wow.
Huh. I like it. That's
Super cool.
interesting.
Yeah, it's really common. It's weird.
Yeah?
Trench coat speciation.
You say trench coat speciation?
That's how you tell them apart. They all wear different colored trench coats.
Oh.
I'm even thinking like different articles of clothing. Like you go back and one of them's got like a velvet robe, and you're like, "What are you doing? Why?
Smoking
Why are
jacket,
you
yeah.
this way?"
Why are you this way?
It's like a reproductive isolation.
Oh, man. Okay, so now I want to know more about the social roaches and inbreeding. So, like, social, but not in, like, a hierarchical, like, a hymenopteran social
Yeah.
structure?
So different than eusociality, which is ants and bees, where there's a queen.
Yeah.
I guess termites too would
Mhm.
still be eusocial. It's just kind of a family group living together.
Okay.
So there's no set organism for creating new individuals.
Got it. Cool.
All equals.
Oh, very cool. I've been learning a lot about the eusociality of naked mole rats because one of my friends is doing research on them at our university.
Cool.
They are not nice to each other.
Naked mole rats.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always think about it's always an interesting thing to me as a scientist. Like, how do people get into like the things that they? I think that's just always such a fascinating like of all the things you could, you know.
Right.
I had a friend in grad school or during my master's who was in natural resources, and she decided she wanted to study the sort of temporality of frogs that come out after rainstorms, like in ephemeral waterways.
Yeah.
So she would like wait for storms in the middle of nowhere, New Mexico, and like call these ranch owners and be like, "Hey, can I come camp on your land?"
Yep.
And she'd like go camp by herself and like count frogs. And it's which is amazing. But I was always like, how did you come up with that? Like why that?
At least in the case of the naked mole rats, a lab at our university has them for like cell research because naked mole rats have so many strange things about themselves, like they can't get cancer and they don't die of old age and other weird stuff. So they just happened to be in the building. Oh no, we've lost
no, he's
him.
gone.
Oh no. Well, that's a bummer.
It's gonna be smooth sailing. For
yeah,
a
this is
while.
gonna be really
Hey,
smooth.
what did I say?
He definitely doesn't know what we're talking about now.
Yeah.
Nope.
Now we can be sure. Those secrets are unheard.
Perfect. But yeah, my friend's a behavioral ecologist who was
Okay.
looking for animals to study, and the naked mole rats were there. So, you know.
I'm fairly confident you just said that naked mole rats are immortal. I think I heard that.
Kind
It
of.
sounded like.
Well, so when I say they're
was
not
an
nice to
implication.
each other, they kill each other sometimes, though. So they aren't always immortal.
It's like the Highlander. Is that too old for anyone here? The Highlander.
There can be only one. It's
Yep.
true.
They
So
have
like
to-
the battle to be the queen is a battle to the death.
Wow.
Yeah. Right. Wild.
I need to learn more about animals. Like plants don't do interesting things like that.
Plants are interesting.
Well, no, they do, but they don't have like death
They don't
combat.
battle.
Like
That's true.
they-
They don't have death combat. It's true. There he is. We've all
I would
developed-
argue that carnivorous plants do engage in death combat.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
And what about oh my god,
parasitic plants? Maybe.
what
Yeah.
are the what are the chemicals called that like certain like pest species release that means that nothing else can grow around them? Like that's
Oh yeah, like allelopathy,
That's
where
it,
they
yeah.
they let chemicals out of the roots. Pecan trees and walnuts do that a lot.
exactly.
Okay, fair.
Hi, Felix.
Fair enough.
These aren't
I need
secrets.
I need to press a button. I need to press a button in about a minute's time, and then I'm back with you. And then we can...
Good. Well, in the meantime.
So you keep sciencing. I am fine with that.
yeah. See, there's lots of death combat in plants.
Like I know you have a kettle running, but like, did anyone watch Lost? Where he had to go and like key in the code every
Oh.
like that's in my
I had to
head
go
what you're
press a
going to
button.
do.
Yeah.
Go press a button. Keep the world from blowing up.
I mean, who knows? Yes, for the audience members, it is very late at night for Felix because he's joining us from the UK graciously. So please don't mind him making some more go juice so that he can stay awake for all of this. So I was going to ask Brian, we don't have the character art yet, spoilers audience, but why did you pick coral fungi? I think it's a cool choice. I was just wondering why.
I have to give full disclosure here that a lot of my choices about the character are just things that I liked.
Nice.
So I really like coral fungi. I feel like their sort of limbs fit really well for a humanoid type character. And then the traits about water and the consistency, those are based off of jelly fungi, which are always exciting to find.
So that's like wood ears and witch's butter and stuff like that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
They're all over my yard. So
Yeah.
every time that it rains, I go out there and just like everything's blooming. It's like, this
Aw.
is cool.
Hmm.
I keep finding wood ears on branches that fall out of my trees when it's windy. Like when we had a tornado watch the other night. You know.
Gosh, it's been a wild tornado season already this year.
Uh-huh.
It's only April.
Yep. Yep. And the sirens have gone off for us twice so far, which is
Oh my
great.
gosh.
Yeah. Well, a tornado came through here at the beginning of field season in 2021. It destroyed houses like a block and a half from my house. and actually
Wow.
went through one of my field sites, which was great. So, uh, I've been living here for like 10 years and was never worried about tornadoes until then.
Gosh.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah.
That's one of those weird things that people that do field research, like how do you explain that to someone that's always in a lab that like, well, why did your experiment get messed up? Oh, tornado.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a tornado.
Overly honest methods.
Yeah.
Button pressed.
Woo! Coffee made.
Okay. Yeah, right. Everything's good.
Everything's good. We've got some secrets. We scienced a bit.
Good. And now we can start doing all that game stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to throw you in right in the middle because I feel that's probably the best way to start. Are you all ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What's the name of your ship?
The Scolopendra.
The Scolopendra. Can you describe the Scolopendra? What does it look like? What does it do?
As we all pull up our notes.
Yeah.
Let me rustle some papers.
Well, it looks like not a ship, I guess, is where we start, because it's very stealthy, right? And it's made primarily out of bug parts.
Which is not too unnatural for the
Right.
wild sea. Like, you use whatever you can find.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's made out of a, what did you say, Atlas moth chrysalis? So kind of like leaves that have all been sort of like welded together with silk. And then it's traveling on navipede limbs, so giant centipede legs, right?
Is one of the things that makes
again,
it
very
so
normal.
stealthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a surprisingly stealthy ship.
And that also, like, not only is it stealthy in the moment, but also the navipede limbs don't leave a wake, right? So, like, we couldn't be followed or, like, noticed that we're there or have been there as easily. Yeah.
Especially not compared to the vast majority of ships.
Right.
Because the vast majority of ships leave massive weights behind them because they have chainsaws down the front of them. They cut their way through branches. That's how they make progress. I mean, there are other ways too, but the chainsaw method is definitely the most common. And that kind of comes into play here because your ship, the Scolopendra... Scolopendra?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Your ship, the Scolopendra, is actually in pursuit of another ship. This other ship is... it's a smaller vessel than yours, but it's not that much faster. The only advantage it has is that it is cutting its way through a surprisingly kind of light patch of sea. And when I say sea, I of course mean treetops. Most ships in the wild sea, they ride kind of at the very crest, the very canopy of these massive trees called the ironroots. It's cutting through those thinner branches with the bottom of its hull resting on slightly thicker branch work. Of course, the advantage for you is that you can just take the wake that it's leaving. Wild sea trees grow fast enough that it will close up after the ship in a matter of minutes sometimes, but you're close enough to them that you can just ride their wake. Most important question, though, and I'm not going to choose a random person for this, I'm going to take whatever answer gets thrown out by anyone. Why are you chasing them? What did they take from you?
It popped into my head immediately because Brian was so invested in it when we built the ship. They took our parrot.
Hilariously, that was the
100%
first one that
yes.
popped
Yes!
into my head, and I didn't say it
100%
because
yes.
I didn't want to lose my precious parrot.
No,
That also
the
makes
parrot-
it easier to follow.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, it does. Of course, you can see the wake they leave. You can hear the massive roaring, churning sound of the engine, the chainsaw attached at the front. You can also hear the parrot. How does the parrot sound?
Oh God.
So we
I
had discussed it being
don't need a precise audio.
Right, yeah. Oh yeah, you picked. You
we
picked
had discussed
type,
it being
right?
we had discussed it being a cockatiel, and
Yeah.
they can speak, so it can yell out random parrot words.
Whatever you taught it to say.
Yeah, like hello and pretty bird and other classic
I like to think it's just yelling pretty bird like, in distress.
That makes perfect sense. In that case, you are on the trail of this ship, and you can hear over the sound of their engines the sound of your parrot just screaming pretty bird again and again and again. The tone and the words not quite matching, but that's, you are gaining on them, but that means you have to make a decision. What are you going to do when you catch them? And that's where we're going to start playing this out. So the first thing I'd like to do is make a roll. We're going to treat this as like the end of a journey. So I need one person at the helm of the ship and one person on watch. Who is who? Or who is whom? Or who is whom? Who is who?
I have tides as one of my edges, so I feel like I would be comfortable at either of those spots. Since I've grown up sailing the sea.
And let's say you're at the helm.
Okie dokie.
Who's going to be on watch?
I think since I'm like an 8-foot tall cactus, I could be planted on the prow of the ship and watch. I also have iris bloom, so I can see heat patterns like other people can see things. So I can kind of see not just hear the wake behind the ship's leaving, but almost possibly see the people on the ship get closer.
Nice.
Okay, perfect. In that case, Sheryl at the helm.
Yep.
I would like you to decide, are you cutting a path or forging ahead? Are you following them at roughly the same speed, or are you going to try and coax that extra bit out of your engine to catch them up in this next moment? Entirely your choice.
Yeah, I think we'd like to catch up to them. Maybe not like right behind them, but like sort of, skitter out to the side, maybe.
Okay.
Try to like get parallel with them, I think. Yeah.
Okay, then I'm going to ask you to make a roll at the same time as this. Your ship has a set of ratings. Mm-hmm. What is your tilt rating?
It is 2.
Roll me 2d6.
Okie dokie.
The way rolls in the wild sea work, no matter what dice you're rolling or how many are in what situation, a 6 is a triumph, a 5 or a 4 is a conflict, and a 3, a 2, or a 1 is a disaster. There is no failure. There is only things get much better, things get much worse, or a mix of the two.
I rolled a 2 and a 3, and we add them together, right? So 5.
You don't know. You don't add them together.
No, so I just
you just
fail.
Yep, that is a disaster.
Cool. Great. Awesome.
So you have rolled a disaster, and I won't tell you exactly what happens.
Start.
Yeah. Oh, that is
Person
a
at the
helm. I won't tell you exactly what happens yet, because I would like whoever is on watch. That was Vikram?
Yep.
Okay. I would like you to roll. Just roll me 1d6.
Okay.
Just a nice, simple watch roll.
I rolled a 6.
Hey.
Okay. This is to determine kind of what is happening in the sea as around you as you catch up to the ship. Luckily for you, a 6 is peace. So you just have to deal with this ship. The waves themselves are not an issue for you right now. They might be in the future, but they're not right now. However, that was a disaster on that tilt roll. Yep. You managed to take your ship alongside theirs, but coming out of their wake of broken branches and leaves, you kind of oversteer a little bit, and the two ships collide. You smash into the side of their ship. Now, the benefit of this, very easy to get the Parrot if you climb onto their deck. The downside of this, your two ships are now stuck together. So from that point, you're traveling at speed. The waves are breaking around you. There's leaves and mulch and branch everywhere. There's a screaming parrot. And now you have to contend with two very, very angry bird thieves on the deck of their ship. I'm going to throw it over to you. What do you do?
Oops.
And if you need more information about the scene or anything else, you just ask.
What type of engine do they have?
Their ship, from the smell of their ship, it runs on bees.
From the smell?
You get that immediate smell of wax and honey.
Okay.
And,
I was
You know that unique smell that bees have?
Yeah.
I mean,
We're all familiar.
I've smelled a lot of dead bees.
Of course.
That's going
At
down
my
quote
lab
for the session.
bench,
I've smelled a lot of bees.
Oh man.
I'm not feeling as confident about intervening with the bee engine as
Yeah.
I might have been with another type of engine.
Oops.
So
Sorry about
I have burrowing bees
that. Yeah.
as one of my
Oh, hold
things,
on.
and so I'm already covered in bees.
Yeah.
Oh.
Both I think outside and inside, which is a little bit unsettling, but that's okay.
That's fine.
Tickles.
I have a question though. Can
Yes.
my bees communicate with their engine bees?
That is
Yes.
entirely up to the dice.
It's time for a waggle dance.
I'm so
Okay.
excited.
So I want to see if I can get my internal bees to communicate with their bees and tell them to slow the ship.
That definitely could work, but it will be difficult because you don't have time to set up. There's no tea parties, there's no initial meetings, there's no handshakes. Your bees just going to have to crash in there and do what they do. I'm going to add a cut to your roll. That means you make your dice roll as you do, and we'll go through it because it's the first one we're really making properly. But then when you roll it, you will cut the highest result before you actually get your proper result. So if you rolled like a 2, a 3, and a 6, you would cut the 6 and you would end up with the 3.
Okay.
Cut represents difficulty essentially.
Sure.
Yeah. So let's make a roll. You're going to try and have your bees interfere with their engine bees. Every roll that is for an action starts with an edge. What are your edges?
Oh, I have to remember now. Where did I write that down? Sorry, I have so many notes.
Sorry, it's always the best part of a character sheet.
Sharps.
Okay, sharps. Sharps is doing things in kind of an intelligent, thoughtful way, but also having bright ideas and those kind of, genius sparks. Sharp's absolutely fine. Having an edge that applies gives you 1d6 to start with.
Okay.
Then you can add a skill or a language if it's appropriate.
Do you
Okay.
And that will give you a number of d6 equal to the ranks of the skill or language.
Okay. So my skill is delve.
Delve could work. Yeah. You're using your kind of bees to communicate with an element of the natural world. I can live with delve.
Okay.
Tenuous, but I can live with it. How many dice does that add?
Oh, I don't. I don't remember what the number was for that. Sorry. Gosh,
It's going to be a 1, a 2, or a 3.
2, I think.
Okay, let's go with a 2. So that's an edge for 1d6, your delve for an extra 2d6, that's 3d6, and your burrowing bees, the fact that you have them, is an extra 1d6.
Nice.
Even though you couldn't do this without them, just the ability to have them, it bumps up the fact you're going to succeed or fail horribly.
Sure.
So yeah, that is 46.
Okay.
And when you roll it, you'll have 4 results, and you just cut the highest one.
Okay. So, oh god, I got 3 1s and a 5.
Okay, so you
Roll
cut
bad.
the
Oh, but
five.
that's doubles too.
Yes.
Oh
That is a disaster with a twist.
no. Oh
A twist is an unexpected narrative event which is not decided by me, but is decided by any other player at the table. If no one else can think of one, Vikram, you can think of one yourself. If even you can't think of one, then I can think of one too. But let's deal with the consequence of the disaster first. You're using your... I'm not going to describe it, you describe it. What happens with these bees and how does it go wrong? And then I'll tell you the mechanical implications.
So, they are flightless bees, which is challenging. So, as I've sort of gone over to the side of the ship to let them crawl over there, some of them just sort of blow away because we're moving quickly.
Okay, that makes sense.
And it's gone very badly.
Okay, in that case, on your burrowing bees aspect, I would like you to mark 2 points of damage to it.
Oh no.
Okay.
So you will mark off 2 of those boxes to represent your lost bees.
Okay.
But that is the consequences of the disaster. The consequence of the twist is up to everyone else. What is the unexpected consequence of these lost bees?
Well, now we're like leaving a trail of bee breadcrumbs, right?
Yes.
So like, does something maybe pick up on that?
Oh yeah, I am entirely fine with that. That's a great twist. Okay, I am making a track. So this track is going to be called "Attracted by Bee Breadcrumbs." It has a number of boxes on it. I'm marking the first box off. There are a few more boxes to go. When those boxes are fully marked by bee-related activities, something will appear that loves bees.
Oh, good.
Or eating bees, one of the two.
Amazing.
But for now, I'll throw it back to you. No, I'll almost throw it back to you. The 2 bird-napping piratical types on the deck of this other ship, you don't know why they took your parrot. They turned up probably in the dead of night, and the first thing you heard was pretty boy, as it kind of just disappeared. And then the roar of a chainsaw engine. You've been chasing them for a few hours now, and now you've finally caught up. You could question them, but one of them is gearing up for a fight, and the other one is desperately wrenching the wheel of the ship back and forth to try and free your ship from theirs. So what you do from here is completely up to you.
What do they look like?
They are both ardent. Ardent are the kind of human-y people. They're not quite human. They're a bit tougher, a bit coarser, a bit more weathered. But they're kind of the descendants of humanity from before the time the world was forested.
Mm-hmm.
If it helps, one is very, very bearded.
Excellent.
Always give a distinguishing feature.
Yep.
One of the ardent is very, very bearded.
So should we try to convince the one who's gearing up for an attack to have a chat instead of attacking us?
Entirely up to you.
You're a people person.
Might be difficult, but yeah.
We have like a giant harpoon on the ship.
We do.
I love the 2 different ways this has
my
gone.
God.
Can we convince them to chat, or we can shoot them?
It is giant, and that's very convincing.
Oh, you mean
It's really persuasive.
yeah.
I'm up for whatever. You go for it. This is,
We also have to get unstuck.
That's a good point.
You got to get unstuck, rescue a parrot, and deal with 2 ardent. And possibly recover bees.
Well, we don't have to deal with the ardent, right? We could just get the parrot and...
You could, but there is a good chance that something would happen with them if you just grab the parrot and jump back to your ship, because your ships are still connected.
Yeah, yeah.
Running away from things is still dealing with them. The wild bee is not super combat focused. You can avoid combat completely if you want to. Or even danger, you can try.
So have we established where the parrot is?
Oh yeah, can we see the
Parrot on
parrot?
deck?
Yeah.
I'm going to say it is tangled in the beard of the very bearded.
Oh, no.
So we have to deal with this guy.
Ew.
It's weird.
I'm trying to give a pun for bird cage, beard cage. It's not going to work properly. But,
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Beard nest.
Weird.
Beard nest.
So can I try to unstuck the ship?
Oh, yeah.
I have the rattle skill, which is like mending, fixing.
Yeah, rattle is for mending things, fixing things, anything to do with kind of technology and engineering. However, knowledge of that stuff is also knowledge of undoing that stuff. Rattle is a perfect skill to use for breaking something as much as it is for fixing something.
Is there a way that others of us can assist? Like, if Cork is going to try to unstick them, but I'm at the helm, can I, like, assist in a way?
Yes, you can assist, and that gives an extra 1d6. of a kind of situational benefit on the roll. However, if something bad happens to the person who's initiating the action, something bad will also happen to you. Might not even be the same bad thing, but like you're tied to the results of the roll as much as the person rolling.
Gotcha.
So yeah, you want to try and unstick the ship? You go for it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Cork will run down. Oh, I don't even know. We have a second deck. Go below deck.
That's up to you.
It's a tiny
Some
ship.
rooms.
She goes wherever it's stuck. And starts to try to like push us away from the other ship, I guess.
You're just running down the lower deck and just pushing us hard.
I'm like trying to untangle whatever is stuck together.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. In that case, when you get down there, you will see that the outside of your hull is not incredibly strong. Like it's soft compared to some things for the kind of slinkiness of it, because it doesn't normally have to crash through leaves and branches. Their hull is strung with junk and bones and random bits, so it's just pierced through bits of your hull. And yeah, you're trying to remove it or unpierce those things. Make me a roll. Edge, skill, and then any aspects you have. Plus situational bonus if there's one going.
So, I guess edge, I have instinct.
Absolutely fine.
Instinct.
Think of edges as kind of like a free die.
Okay.
However you justify using an edge, I'm fine with it. But
All
like,
right.
if you have like iron, which is the edge of doing things in a kind of big, brash, bolstering way,
I
and
also-
then you go, I'm going to sneak into the room. That's not going to work so well. But like, yeah.
Okay. So it's edge and then skill.
Yeah,
I went
if you
all
have
in on
one.
rattle.
Nice.
Yeah, rattle's good. Yeah.
So, and then do I add an extra one for Meldy's help?
Yeah, if you've got an aspect that helps you from your list of aspects, you get 1d6 from that. And if
Okay.
Meldy is helping, you get 1d6 from that as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if it applies. I have Surefire Smith.
What does it do?
Count conflicts as triumphs when repairing gear and mechanical companions. The ship gear?
I don't think the ship is gear, but,
Great.
but
So
that's
maybe
a good
not.
example. That's a good example of an edge case.
Mm-hmm.
I would let you do it, but I might say the roll is a bit more difficult, so it's up to you.
It's fine. We can do it. All right, so I have 4 dice that I'm rolling.
Wait.
And
4?
Meldy, how are you? Yes, Meldy, because you said you were going to help.
Yes. Well, because you got 1 for your edge, and then you said you went all in on rattle, so that's 3, right? Plus my help, so that would be 5, right?
5.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, one more.
Yes. So I'm helping because I was at the helm, so even I got us into this situation. So I guess I'm going to try to sort of like help steer us away, or like sort of be listening to Cork, be like, oh, like we need to hold steady, or like turn to the left or something. Yeah.
Pull right in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 5 dice. I have
Yep.
2 2s and 3 5s.
That
Holy
is
smokes.
a conflict with a twist, something good and something bad.
Yahtzee.
The good thing, you managed to unstick the ship. You're still right next to them, but like you come apart. The bad thing, I'm going to carry over in a second to Brian. Sorry, but yeah, just wait for it.
Okay.
But there's also a twist to go. So, what is the unexpected narrative consequence of these ships suddenly becoming unstuck? Again, anyone at the table can throw this out there, or I can explain. I've got one if you don't.
Vikram started laughing. Now I'm nervous.
I'm playing this game in my head of like, how much do I want to come up with something interesting that doesn't totally screw us up?
That's like twists can be beneficial or they can be negative for you. The only rule for twists really is they should always be in service of moving a story forwards.
I'm a little curious to hear what you have in mind.
Okay.
And nervous, but
If you want to go with mine, I'm not going to say what it is in advance, but if you want to go with mine, I'm happy to do it. But
Sure.
Okay, fair enough. In that case, you do manage to wrench these ships apart. However, not by detaching the bits of ship that were stuck in yours, from yours,
Oh.
but detaching the bits of ship that were stuck in yours from theirs. A huge section of the side of their hull just rips away as your ships come apart. Their ship, it will not suddenly sink. There's too many branches under it for that. But it is going to get worse and worse and worse as time goes on. More and more of that junky bone and scrap metal hull will just tear away as branches hit it again and again and again. You have severely damaged their ship by accident.
Oops.
Oops. Yeah. Oops. Well,
Shouldn't have taken our parrot.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is they're going to go through a lot of damage
Yeah.
to stealing a parrot.
My parrot is in your beard.
And it is actually on that point that the negative part of this situation comes in the form of Brian. Where is Trem at this particular moment?
Trem has been standing on deck, but not particularly helping thus far. I have been trying to figure out what I can do to get the bird back, and I have collected some of the food that we typically feed the bird that I know the bird would come to. However, the bird is trapped in apparently a quite strong beard.
That is very true.
And that's as far as I've gotten.
In that case, I'm afraid the negative consequence of Johanna's role is going to hit you in this particular case. You have the bird food. The bird sees the bird food. The bird starts pulling the bird food, but that also gives the bearded Arden a really good idea of what direction to go in to attack someone. So they, following the bird pulling at their beard, just leap across the gap between those two ships and come down bearing hard on you. You need to make a reaction of some kind. You can fight, you can scramble away, you can kind of do whatever you want. But they are aiming squarely at you. And you see in their hand a very simple wood-cutting axe. Simple, however, doesn't mean not dangerous.
Got it. Yes, I was assuming that the axe was dangerous. I think that Trem is going to vault and try to jump away from the incoming axe.
Perfect. That works.
Primarily upwards, I think, but away. Yes.
I'm going to give you a cut of 2 on this. So you chop off the top 2 results. Because you're on a fast-moving ship and you're trying to jump away from something reasonably accurately, I guess. And the ships are now kind of pulling themselves apart at the same time.
So I feel this is a great opportunity for me to use my edge grace as well.
Most definitely.
To hopefully help, but a cut of 2 is a cut of 2. So I think that I'm at, is it 3 because of those?
If you got 2 for vault and 1 for the edge, then yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Do you have any aspects that might help you? Remember, helpful aspects, it doesn't need to be written in the actual kind of mechanical description of the aspects. If an aspect is thematically helpful, it can still add a die.
No, I feel pretty strongly that I do not.
In that case, you've got to roll a
honesty.
3d6. Yeah, no, honestly, it's good. You've got to roll a 3d6 with a cut of 2.
Oh, boy.
So...
All right, high roll. All right, and after the cut, I have a 3.
Okay, that's a disaster.
I did have a 6, but it was cut, so we're at 3.
I'm afraid cut is a very cruel thing. That's what it does.
Yeah.
In that case, I would like you to describe how you get hit with this axe, and take into account with this description that you almost made it. Like that 6 was there, and then something went wrong for you just at that last moment.
So I was just getting out of the way and going upward, and my feet, unfortunately, are quite long, and the axe, though short, was long enough and caught what you may consider my toe and sort of split my already very branching toe into an extra toe, which I don't really care how many toes I have generally, but I like to be in control of how many toes I have.
That's understandable.
So I now have an extra toe, but I was able to pull myself away after that injury.
Okay.
Just as a point of interest, sorry, real quick, how many toes do you have now?
Before the attack or after the attack?
I'm gonna go with after. How with the
On
extra?
the
How many
one
foot?
foot, I was at 6, and now I'm at 7.
Okay.
But the other foot hardly matches. It does change.
Oh,
It
okay.
does change.
Okay.
Yes.
That's fair.
Someone was
I'm many
inspired by a
loads.
myconid.
Yes.
In that case, I would like you to take 2 marks of hewing damage.
Okay.
You can take this to any of your aspects, or you can take it as an injury. I would recommend aspects because you can heal them much easier.
Okay, and do those have to go to the same, or can I sort of
They
dock?
do have to go to the same.
Okay.
That is one of the few hard and fast rules of the world. So your damage all has to go in a chunk somewhere.
All right, that is an aspect. It is affecting my luminous patches,
Okay, fair.
which are now slightly less luminous.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so the Ardent with the beard and the axe is now on the deck of your ship. The other Ardent, what's a distinguishing feature of this other Ardent? The one that's at the wheel. There's not a beard.
I believe.
Pardon?
He didn't attack initially,
No, true.
so perhaps there's something that's slowing him down.
I can go for that. In that case, this other Ardent is chained to the wheel.
Oh, goodness.
Now, this might be an entirely voluntary thing. When you've got a reasonably small ship that's smashing through waves with a chainsaw, chaining yourself to the thing that steers that ship is probably not the worst idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they are chained loosely to the wheel. This Ardent has noticed the hole in the side of their ship. They can feel the change in the way the ship's riding. They can see their bearded companion has just jumped onto the deck of the other. So they don't want to pull away too much, but they can't stay too close either. Meldy, that Ardent looks at you and shouts, "It's only a bloody bird!" And then tries to ram your ship again, because that way they can knock you out the way slightly.
This is a 3D surface we're sailing in. Can I
Yeah.
try to, like, as they try to ram their ship into ours, have it, like, centipede legs, like, climb up and over theirs?
Oh, yeah, I love it. Yeah, of course you can. Yeah.
Okay. So again, I have to do an edge, a skill, and a...
For this one,
or-
because it's the ship
Okay.
doing the thing, you just have to choose a ratings roll.
Okay.
When it's your character, it's your edges and stuff, and but when it's the ship, it's just whatever bit of the ship you're trying to use.
Gotcha.
So for this, you could use tilt, or you could use saws as well if you wanted to. If that's high enough.
We have no saws, so I'll use tilt.
Okay. Tilt is the ship's ability to make sudden kind of changes in
Yeah.
turns, and so go for it.
That's a 4 is the higher one.
Okay, conflict.
Yeah.
Describe your ship climbing over this other ship. You
Inclu-
do make it over successfully, and you're not going to take any damage, but
Okay.
something bad is going to happen.
Okay. Yeah, so I think, they ram it, but, like, they telegraphed that they were upset and gonna do stuff by yelling, so
Yep.
Meldy was ready for it. Yeah, and I guess because this is, like I said, a three-dimensional... The sea is a three-dimensional space that we can move in, right? There's the X and Y, but then there's also a Z direction, both
Yep.
down into the sea and over this other ship.
Yeah, you can try and ramp out the thing. You can dip down into the branches a bit
Yeah.
deeper for a bit if you need to. I mean, I
So-
wouldn't go too deep. That'd be terrible. But
So I kind of imagine that our ship's wheel operates a little like that of an airplane, right? Where you can, like, pull and
Yeah.
rotate.
that's how I imagine it too.
Yeah, so I guess, Meldy sort of, like, and they have, I guess because this is becoming an issue, there aren't really, like, distinct arms anymore. It's just kind of, like, lots of blob on the wheel, and sort of, like, pull back and turn as the other ship comes in, and, yeah, it just right over the guy chained to the wheel and everything. So, yeah, I guess now we're sort of on the other side of them.
Yeah, that is fair. In that case, the good bit is you managed to do that. You take no damage at all. The bad bit is it dislodges some bees from their engine.
Oh.
One of your little navipede limbs just kind of tears through part of their engine, which is sitting kind of right behind the chainsaw prow, exposed to the waves. I am marking the Attracted by Bee Breadcrumbs track
Oh,
once more.
Good.
Something bee hungry is coming.
Better beware.
It's just gotten so much worse. Every pun increases the number of teeth this thing has.
Oh no.
It is, at this point, entirely up to you. You don't know it, but in the background, I have been marking a separate track. Tracks lead up to various things. This particular track is leading up to, it's a secret track, and now it is a hidden track, as in now you know it exists, but you can't see it. Mm-hmm. This track is leading up to the parrot thieves giving up. You still need to mark a few more boxes on this track, but that doesn't just mean you need to damage them. It could be anything. You could dissuade them. You could talk them down. You could make it so they literally can't keep moving. Anything could work to fill this track. Tracks are very, very flexible in how they get filled most of the time. So the spotlight is on any of you. Anyone that wants to take it, focus is open.
And just to clarify, the Ardent with the beard with the parrot in it jumped onto our ship to attack Trem. So the
currently on your
So
ship.
the parrot is now on our ship, technically.
Theoretically, yes. I mean, technically, it is on your ship.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's in a guy's beard,
Right.
but it's on your.
But it's back on our side. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's on your.
So a lot has happened, but maybe it's time to ask them for our parrot back.
Someone said that in the first move.
So we've heard them talking. Do we know what language they're speaking? Is it
Yes,
Low
they
Sour?
are speaking Low Sour, the kind of common tongue of the waves. They are both ardent, so they would also speak Chthonic, probably, but which could be a leverage point if someone speaks Chthonic. Languages, having the same language as someone else, is always a useful thing. It can make common ground where none would otherwise exist, etc., etc. Hint, hint.
I think that I have a few things that are stacking up here, and that I should try to ask for the parrot. I have sharps.
Yep.
And I have sway.
Very useful. Sway is the skill of talking to people and making them see things your way. Yeah, incredible.
Like giving back your parrot, hopefully. And I also speak Chthonic.
Okay. You can't combine a skill and a language for dice, but you can do it thematically, so it can still affect the actual outcome of the roll.
Okay.
So choose whichever one gives you more dice, basically, but you are using both.
Okay. I think I get 2 regardless.
Okay.
I think that's how it stacks up for me.
I'm horrible with cut. I'm gonna give you a cut of 1.
Okay.
Because this guy did just hit with an axe, and then you're saying,
true.
"Whoa, we just want a parrot here." What I'm saying is, it is
a tough sell. It's a tough sell.
Yes.
Yeah. When he's altering my anatomy and I'm asking for things, it's a tough sell.
Do you have any aspects that help?
I have hyper adaptive, which is also language oriented, but I already speak that language.
However, the fact you have hyper adaptive could work. You've heard them shouting. You've heard the kind of the tone they use, the accent they use.
Yeah.
You could use hyper adaptive, even though it's not for the stated purpose, which, if I remember correctly, I wrote a lot of these things, is to kind of quickly learn a language, essentially, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
You could use hyperadaptive just to kind of quickly mimic that tone and that thing, and make it so that you seem more local to them.
The other one that I was thinking might be interesting is that I have these luminous patches, and I could try to make them brighter, which would at least be stunning, if not convincing.
Yeah. So there's 2 very different ways that you could play this. You could do the whole, hey, you really got to give us that parrot back, and try and be all friendly and like, we're from the same place, we've gone through the same experiences, parrot napping, I know we've all been there. Or you could do a kind of, roar of God, give me that damn parrot, as you just burst into incandescent light. Both work.
I feel like I want to go Roar of God. I'll give you extra toes too. Type luminous
Oh,
patches.
shoot.
This said, on the ship, I'm not really the one that's going to be giving out extra toes. But I can at least communicate that message and be like, hey, we'd like the parrot back. The other thing that I could say in the message is that your ship is not going to last long, and without a ship on the sea, you don't last long. And so you should probably work with us in the long term anyway.
That's actually really good and a really good point. I'm going to give you an extra 1d6 bonus die as a situational benefit.
Okay, so
because
I have...
that is, you're literally drawing on the situation and saying, hey, this is a thing that is literally true.
Okay, so I have an edge, and I have a skill, and I have an aspect, and then I get an additional d6, so I'm at 4.
So that's
okay.
4d6 with a cut of 1.
Cut. Okay. All right. Let's get above 3 in this game, folks.
Yeah.
We had a 5.
All right. I have another 5.
Woo!
We're at a 5.
Hey, okay, that's good.
Yes.
So, conflict is either something goes right and something goes wrong, or something almost goes right. Which would you prefer?
I would like for something to almost go right.
Okay. In that case, what exactly, or, you know, as close to exact as you want, what do you say to this Parrot-Napper? Which is a great phrase, by the way.
I say, I appreciate the extra toe. However, you're going to need a toe. And so you should work with us and give me my damn parrot back while glowing.
That is fair. It almost goes right. See, what happens at that point is the parrot napping ardent with the beard. It's not the fun thing to say. They stagger backwards. They're shocked by your light. They understand that your words actually do make sense, and they are slightly worried that they just hit you with an axe, and you haven't seemed to react at all, other than to kind of mention you now have extra toes. So they stumble backwards, and your parrot makes a break for it in that moment. Your parrot bursts from this cagey beard and flies into your arms. And the ardent with the beard goes over the edge of the ship.
Oh.
But they go over the edge of the ship, Cork, right where you were pushing the ships away, and there is now those holes in your hull from where the ship pierced. That ardent goes over there and just scrambles and grabs, and one arm just goes straight through one of these holes and grabs you. But you're made of roaches? So, Cork, I'd like you to describe what happens when this unexpected ardent arm comes through the side and grabs a handful of you. Try and stop themselves falling.
Oh boy. Yeah, well, definitely there's a yelp from below deck. Very shocking turn of events, because I don't think she would have been fully aware of what was going on above deck. So this ardent with the beard has just fallen through, grabs Cork's, I'm assuming probably like leg. I guess does he have like enough momentum to like pull off her shoe? This
is actually
is he like fully going out?
No, this is a really good point where we can talk about the ways you can take damage. Because you can just say like, oh yeah, the ardent grabs my leg, it hurts a little bit, I take 1 point of damage, etc., etc. Or you can say if you don't want to take the damage or anything like that, it can be a situational debuff, a kind of fictional positioning type thing. Or it could be you lose a resource. Maybe that ardent arm passes straight through your leg and grabs one of the resources you're carrying and just kind of takes that with them as they fall. Sometimes it'll be up to the Firefly, the GM, but in this case, I'll throw it open to you. What do you want to happen as this ardent grabs you?
Yeah, well, boy, resources that apply to that, I'm not sure I have very many, other than the literal skin that I'm wearing.
Yeah, that's fair. What actually, that's a good question. What is the skin that you're wearing?
Um, it's a full ardent skin.
Okay.
It was a person.
Is it? Do you have the silk skin aspect?
I have lottery of skin.
Ah, yeah. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so yeah, it definitely used to be a person. So it's quite a strong skin then. Like they're not gonna just rip part of you off. Hopefully.
Hopefully not.
No, so, but that means that when they grab you, there's some weight behind that grab, and you will be pulled probably with them.
Can I like try to like grab something? I mean, I might be stopping their fall as well, but I'm not going over.
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay. So I have the skill brace.
Perfect.
I feel like
Absolutely
that's-
perfect.
Very
that
handy.
makes sense.
Yep.
I'm gonna just try, and I guess since I also have Earthsat's limbs, I have four arms in total. I'm gonna like just fully like push out and grab onto the side with all four arms.
I suspect
You were not
we
going up.
might be about to get our first 6 because I was going to give you a cut,
Horrifying.
but perfectly.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I was giving you a cut of 1 because this was very unexpected.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's edge, skill, and then aspect.
Yeah.
Great. That's 3 dice, and then I'm cutting the highest one. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I got a 1, 3, and a 5, so that's
Okay, no, that's a disaster.
Amazing.
Okay, right. So let's make this simple. This arm comes through the kind of ragged hole in the side of your ship and grabs you. You go over the edge with them. Your ersatz limbs, they do manage to stop you going straight out into the waves. But you're still out of the ship. You are now clinging onto the sides of this hole with an ardent holding onto your leg. You are feet above the waves around you. The navipede limbs that kind of push your ship along, they're probably like they're on both sides of you. It's like being in the middle of 2 sets of pistons. They're just everywhere around you. It's up to all of you who takes the next action. It could also be Cork. I don't mind. But I will say, Brian, you would have watched this happen, or Trem would have watched this happen.
Mm-hmm.
Carn and Meldy, you might be aware of what's happening. Trem, you're definitely aware of what's happening. So. And Cork, obviously, you are as well.
Hyper aware.
Yeah.
terrified.
Yeah.
But actually, because I like to try and be fair, even to NPCs, before any of you can react to this, including you, Cork, sorry, the Ardent at the wheel will take another action.
Mm-hmm.
And the first attempt to steer their ship into yours did not work. So they're going to try harder. They're not going to try and barge into your ship. They're going to try and make a sharp turn and get the chainsaw prow that is pulling them through the waves to cut through your ship, because that's a great way to slow you down. Meldy, you're at the helm.
Yep.
Yeah.
How are you going to avoid how are you going to counter this movement? You see it a moment before it happens.
Oh my god. Can I go in the other direction now? I don't know if this would be tilt or stealth, but can we just like dive, and like get out of the way?
I'll let you tilt or stealth.
Okay.
Stealth for that whole kind of like, we're going to disappear below the waves really quickly, and tilt for the, we're going to turn really quickly. Either can apply.
Okay, I'll use stealth because it's better. Because we stealthy.
I'll say cut 1 on this one.
Okay. Oh, that's cocked. Okay. Oh, okay. So I rolled 2 5s and a 4, so if I cut 1 5, I have a 5.
Okay, that is a conflict. Do you describe how you move the Scolopendra to get out of the way of this suddenly turning chainsaw ship?
Yeah, I think it's almost like like it would be really aesthetic if you were watching this like not in the action but sort of at a distance, because the Corsair's ship goes one way at us and we go over them, and then they come the other way at us and we just like go under, so it's like this like a sea monster type undulation that happens. So yeah, we just sort of sorry, Cork, dive through the branches to avoid.
I was about to remind you of Cork in a
yes.
second. But
Well,
yeah,
Meldy doesn't. I don't think Meldy would have known because I'm busy.
That's perfect non-metagaming.
Yeah. Like, I'm not facing that direction. I'm trying to stay out of the way of this maniac at the other helm. So, yeah, I think just diving out of their way, because, like, presuming they're not going to be as easy to navigate their ship down here, so they might not chase us. Yeah.
And you got a conflict.
Yeah.
In that case, are you happy with me making this a serious thing?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've messed up a bunch.
Cork, are you happy with me making this a serious thing?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
In that case, the upside of this is that their chainsaw prow is going to cut across the top of your ship. It barely scars the surface. It just misses Carn.
Sorry.
Like, there's just this massive whirling chainsaw that goes straight past you. But you are fine. The angle of their turn rolls their ship. It doesn't hit yours as expected, and it's such a sharp turn that their ship just starts rolling across the waves. Again, ships in the Wild Sea, they can sink if they're in the wrong place, but this one will just kind of roll to a stop after a while. And I will leave it up to chance as to whether they stop with chainsaw ready for sea or ship upside down. I'll roll that myself in a second. The bad side of this, Cork, you take the brunt impact of a branch as you do so. The branch knocks the Ardent clinging onto your leg free. They fall. You see them bounce off a branch or two. Again, it's very hard to fall all the way to the bottom. Normally you'll get stuck in something. But that's not the first thing on your mind. Cork, you take massive damage. Massive damage, in this case, massive blunt damage, if it matters if you have a thing that reduces damage of a certain type. But massive damage. It fills in every single box on one of your aspects. You can choose the aspect there. So basically, it makes one of your core things not work until it heals. So, for example, it might be your ersatz limbs. Maybe it literally tears some of the
best one, or like the most applicable one here, especially since that's what she's trying to use to hold on to everything.
Yeah.
So maybe she loses access to
that. Then you describe how it happens. You go for it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that makes most sense is maybe them being torn off, which is very drastic, but also likely. Yeah, a branch just hits, and she's able to hold on with two of those limbs, and the other two get separated from the rest.
Does this branch push you back into the inside of your ship?
Yeah, she'll use it to push off, and then her two limbs that were on the outside just get swiped.
Oh.
That is fair. Then mark off every box on your ersatz limbs. Aspects are always a part of you. You will never lose an aspect entirely. They are a core part of your character. But when they're fully marked, you just don't benefit from them. So essentially, narratively speaking, you will always find a way to get those limbs back.
I'll get them back.
We'll sew some new ones
even
on.
if
It's
they're not the
fine.
same limbs. Even if they're not the same limbs, you'll always
We can find some.
There's always more roaches.
Right. I was gonna say, this is very Oogie Boogie from Nightmare Before Christmas. That you rip a hole open and they're just roaches, you know.
Mixing in with the bee trail.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a mad scramble of them going into the hole where the arm was. Just all the roaches trying to get back in.
So, Vikram, I'm about to pass the focus to you. But first, I'm going to roll quickly. 1 to 3, that's bad for you. The ship lands ready to move again. 4 to 6, it doesn't. 4, it doesn't. Their ship lands, after its roll, it finally stops on its side. It's not completely upside down. You can still see the person chained to the helm, and this is a great example of why you might chain yourself to a helm. They are just kind of hanging from the helm, arms crossed. How has this happened? And do you bring your ship to a stop?
Yeah, I think so. There's been enough commotion. Yeah.
That's fair. So the bearded Parrot-Napper is gone into the canopy. The kind of piloting Parrot-Napper is hanging their arms crossed, looking thoroughly annoyed at the situation. Vikram, what does Carn do? Because Carn just had a near-death experience. This ship thing just,
So Carn is a big angry cactus at this point, which is the kind of thing you don't want a big angry cactus or a big cactus to be. But he is basically gentle in nature. So he starts thinking about, since we're coming to a stop. Now, are we coming to a stop next to their ship or just coming to a stop in general, Sheryl?
Entirely up to you.
I think I would have, processed all of this and pulled back up, sort of half back out of the waves at a reasonable shouting distance, but not right up against them. Yeah.
Okay. So Carn is angry, but at the same time doesn't necessarily want to send this guy to a leafy doom. So I have half-clogged firearms, so I pull it out and point it at this guy and begin demanding answers for why they took our parrot, because we still don't really have a clear picture of this. Because this seems like a whole lot of problems over this pretty bird. As the parrot is still reminding us, because I think we've forgotten that he's back on the ship and he's with Trem, but still not real happy. Right. So I shout across and ask him to tell us, or demand that he tells us why they stole the parrot, while I'm pointing this shotgun at him.
That makes sense. The Parrot-Napper that's kind of hanging there sees the shotgun. You can see that the ardent eye is just following the barrel of the shotgun as you kind of waver it slightly. You've got their attention, definitely. And they'll shout out, "Look, it's just a bird to you, but it's more than that for us. Could have just given it up. Could have gotten another bird."
Huh. So that seems suspicious to me, because one, he's not just a bird to us. He's our friend.
He's our bird.
He's our bird, darn it. But this seems like it's gonna, as we're coming up on this island, it seems like there's more to this bird than maybe we suspect, since they went through all this trouble to get him. So I am going to ask that we pull the ship up closer so we can capture this guy and maybe find out more.
Yeah.
Fair.
Cool.
Yeah, you go for it. And capturing someone that's already chained up, essentially, very easy.
Except for the fact that I feel like the ship is on its side. So I guess the question becomes, how do we get him down and
I don't have
back
to
on the
walk.
ship?
I can slither over.
Yep, that's perfect.
So, yeah, I'll leave my sticks in a pile next to the helm, and
This actually is the perfect time for a montage. A montage is it's a scene that kind of gets all the kind of weird or nitty-gritty stuff out of the way. Each character, or each player, I suppose, chooses one thing that they're going to achieve, and we just assume that happens. And then you just describe how that happens. It might involve a role, it might not. It could be an entirely narrative thing. For example, someone might want to try and collect their arms. That's a thing that might happen.
What?
I'd like them back.
That's a highly specific example.
I don't know why I just pulled it out the air.
Could be anybody.
Yeah, who knows? Let's do a montage. Each person, you choose one thing you're doing, and it probably just gets done, and then you'll end up kind of on the deck in the same place, ready to question or continue or whatever else as a group. So what do you all do?
Yeah, I think I'll spit all of my stick bones out into a pile next to the helm, and like slither out of the doctor's coat that Meldy wears, and sort of like like a blob creature over to the sideways ship, and sort of like reform a little bit in order to like unchain, but then also tie up this person and sort of half drag, half lead them back over onto our ship.
That makes sense. Yeah. That's perfect. And that is easy enough to do. There's no time pressure for this one. They're already chained up.
Yeah.
So yeah, you bring them to your ship.
Cool.
Just so you know, as you bring them over, they will be asking about their companion.
Meldy didn't actually see where they went.
Just saying that's a thing that if you converse with them, that's going to come up. So might want to have some kind of answer for that.
I don't know. I didn't see them.
Okay, who else?
I would like to get my arms.
Okay, that's fair. Collecting the arms is easy, but would you like to do a roll at the same time to see if you can find out what happened to the other Arden that almost took you down with them?
Definitely. Yeah, I'm like looking around trying to make sure that they're not coming from the branches coming for me.
Yeah. This is a good example of, or a good time to have an example of how skills are quite flexible. Because not every person has access to every skill. That's just not how the game works. You choose the skills that are right for you. But skills are open-ended in many ways. You could, to achieve, find out what happened to this person. It could be something like kind of searching. It could be you using delve or vault to climb down there and find out what happened. It could be staying where you are and using even something like a language skill to start shouting things out in Chthonic to try and see if you can get a response from them. Anything is kind of applicable if you can make it work for the narrative. So, essentially what I'm saying is it's not one of those games where it's like there's a rope to climb, use rope skill. It's a game where there's a rope to climb. How do you get up it? Well, I'm going to do this, this, and this. It's like, okay, cool, just go for it. So.
Yeah, my skills are not great for this, or at least they don't seem like it. But maybe I could use study and try to examine the crime scene.
Yes, no, that's perfect. That is absolutely perfect.
Great. Okay. So that's a 2, 4, and a 6.
There's no cut here, so that is a triumph.
Yay!
In that case, you have. Is that the first triumph of the game?
It is.
Yep.
We needed a
I can
win.
confirm.
Yeah, well done.
And almost an hour and a half in. Yeah.
You not only reclaim your arms, and they're still damaged, they're still marked, but like you've got the arm bits back. That's useful. But you also find out what happens to that Arden. And as it's a triumph, we're going to give you some narrative agency here. You tell me what happened to that Arden.
I mean, I don't want him to like completely disappear. He's nearby, maybe a little out of it, concussed maybe, but we could get him back.
Okay, and this is a good time to talk about Krezerin. Krezerin is, and you might want to science after this. Just Krezerin is a chemical that it's in the whole kind of realm of Magitech. Is it a real chemical? No, of course not. But it drives the wild sea's explosive and constant growth. It's also incredibly toxic when it comes to people. Getting Krezerin on you is generally not a good thing. You'll survive it, especially low doses. It's in most of the food you eat because it comes from the sea in some ways. Animals can cope with it far better, especially if they've got fur or scales and things. But on most of the kind of playable bloodlines, Krezerin exposure is a bad thing. This Ardent is stuck unconscious in the fork of a tree branch, maybe kind of a stone's throw down from you. They probably hit a few branches on the way down. So they're injured, but not horribly injured. However, their skin is exposed to the leaves around them, which means that slowly they will get more and more damaged. It might sear, it might burn, it might melt, it might do something far, far worse. The longer they stay there, the more dangerous it is for them. This is why people use ships. Because otherwise you just climb through the treetops, no problem. But that is not a good thing.
Yeah, so I'll definitely call up to everybody. There's the guy is down here. He looks like he's alive.
Do you need a hand?
Yeah. Yeah. I had 2 more of them before we stopped, but
Okay, so Vikram or Brian, what's your montage action?
So I had one, which was just an impulse to go and make a healthful tea for everybody.
Not the worst thing, to be fair.
I don't know if it's the appropriate time for that act, especially
Is
if we're
there-
trying to rescue Mr. Beardman down there.
What's the first thing that people do after they rescue someone who might be in shock? Give them tea. That's
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And I do have concoct as a skill, which I think would count for tea, perhaps.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
And one of my items is a tea strainer because we need tea.
Yeah.
Is it
Is
an
that- maybe I'll-
apple-shaped one?
Is that a resource or an aspect?
It's a resource.
Now, important thing with resources,
Yes.
you can use resources to add dice to a roll to do something. If the roll goes horribly wrong, you might lose the resource.
Oh, okay.
So, but I mean, only if it goes horribly wrong. Like, it's not going to be there's a conflict. Oh, well, your tea strainer exploded. It might be like, if you really mess this up and you roll like a disaster, then it's like, yeah, the tea strainer starts to melt or discolor, or like it might just get damaged or something. So, yeah, just something to keep in mind when using resources. They can add dice to rolls, just like an aspect, just like a situation, but resources are fluid by nature. You'll lose them, you'll gain them, etc., etc.
I think I'm going to go down to the galley and I'm going to make 6 normal-sized mugs of tea and then 1 tiny little cup for the parrot.
Aww.
Adorable.
Yeah. Okay. Make me a roll for making that tea. Because if you roll really well, it's going to be helpful in terms of healing. And a few of you have taken some damage.
I'm going to use
Consuming
concoct,
things is always the best way to get stuff back.
concoct, and then that resource.
Mhm.
And my edges that are available, probably sharps, maybe could be
Yeah.
useful for choosing what
Knowledge
it's
of
actually
useful
made
to
out
make.
of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'll roll with 3.
And there's no cut on this one. You are in your element. In fact,
6.
you get a situational bonus, an extra d6 bonus, which you don't need apparently because you've already got a 6.
I got a 6.
Yay,
Yes, sorry.
we're winning.
You make
Tea for everyone.
You make a set of wonderful cups of tea.
Lovely. I'm putting it on a tray and I'm heading to each deck.
Then, as part of this montage, if you have a mark on one of your aspects, one of your traits, in fact, so like a biological aspect, if you have something marked on there, you can erase 1 mark as the benefit of drinking this tea. So, in fact, specifically, Cork, your ersatz limbs are a trait, they're biological. The tea does not reattach your arms, but it does give you a bit of that functionality back in some way. So, yeah. And Vikram.
So I guess after drinking this tea, I'm starting to recollect my bees. Because that would be a biological trait, right? Like the burrowing bees. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think I had lost 2 of the tracks on there, so I'm reclaiming bees at this point. I guess shortening our bee trail.
Yeah, I was about to say that is a very good thing to
Yay.
point out. I'm gonna wipe off one of the marks on attracted by bee breadcrumbs, but I'm not removing the track.
Okay, so the bees are coming back, and you'll remind me when their engine got damaged. What happened to because they have a beehive engine? Did they lose all of their functionality, or
No, some of the bees are still there, and some of the hive would still probably work as a hive and as an engine.
okay? Just as a sort of overall question as we go through this, when we encounter other ships like this, we are doing a lot of salvaging and those kinds of things. Like, could we tow their ship? Are we big enough for that? Is that a thing we could do?
Towing a whole ship would be difficult, but possible.
Okay.
Salvaging the most useful parts would be more probable because towing a ship, like I said, entirely possible, but it would slow you down, and being slow out on the waves is a really good way to get yourself attacked or be hunted.
So, for example, if we could possibly repair their engine and we've captured these guys, since we're headed to a city anyway, like I feel like that the salvage of their ship could be valuable to us.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so since I am immune, since I have some of my bees back and I am immune to swarms of bees, I'm going to go across and try to repair their engine so we can take it with us.
Nice.
Yeah, perfect.
With us.
All right, roll it for me. Let's see how you repair this.
Okay, so I think that gives me three dice, I think. So I got 2 4s and a 3.
That is a conflict with the twist.
Okay.
Something. Oh, it's an easy one. Something good. You managed to repair this engine. Something bad. You have to do it by sacrificing some of your own bees to join those bees to keep it running.
Okay. So I guess I'd gotten 1 mark on my burrowing bees back, so we'll take that away again. And
yeah, it's the easiest way to do it. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
It doesn't invalidate how good the tea tastes.
Right. Still happy about that. Yeah. So I've climbed over there. I've given some of my bees to repair their engine, and they're up and running again. And we can, I guess, since we have one of these guys is unconscious, the other one is, I guess, being tied up and brought back to our ship at this point. We can latch on and get their ship running, and we can take it with us.
Yeah. However, there was a twist as part of this roll. Does anybody have any idea what they want for this twist? If not, it could be as simple as you get a lovely specimen of honey from the engine.
We did just make tea.
Oh, yeah. I think we're all like primed to think that the twists have to be bad.
Yeah.
No, they don't have to be bad at all. They
well,
can be
especially
really good.
because like if we get to pick the twists, we could always be like, oh, it's something good for me, right? Like that's.
But this is why the person that rolled the twist doesn't get to initially decide the twist.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there are some curiosities about them, so a good twist might be to learn or notice something about their ship or why they really like our parrot.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's that's a really good narrative focused twist.
Yeah.
I love it. In that case, as you kind of, I suppose it might be Meldy who discovers it in that particular case. As you're kind of fiddling with chains and making sure everything works and to keep them in, you get a glance inside their ship. And you see that their cargo hold is just lined with cages full, not of birds, but of eggs.
And just to be clear, these are bird eggs.
Some of them look like bird eggs. Some of them do not look like bird eggs at all.
Okay.
So Meldy has spent like basically their entire life sailing the waves. Is this something like, does this sound at all familiar, like a black market trade in some sort of weird egg related something or other?
The ability to train an otherwise wild creature from birth, very highly prized. Properly maintained eggs can go for a lot.
So do they need the parrot to sit on the eggs?
Might well be.
Interesting. Okay.
I believe that our ship has stargazers. Do they know something about this or have any information for us?
They might do. What is the text of your
stargazers?
stargazers?
They acquire whispers at some point. I want to say it's when we. No, it's during the night.
Yeah.
they acquire
And I
whispers.
think they just kind of
every
have some
night.
general
Yeah.
like lore to them.
Yeah. Would they know anything about this specifically? No. But would they? Does this count as dropping anchor? It probably does.
Because we're making a long-term stop.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So yeah, we'll get a whisper. One of you, in fact, one of you can choose. Gain the whisper, unexpected eggs.
Oh man. There's the episode title.
So yeah, I don't mind who takes it, but someone's got to take it.
taking
Unexpected
it?
eggs.
I can.
Go for it.
I don't know if that makes any sense for a cactus.
Oh,
but
no,
we'll go with it.
Yeah, absolutely fine. In that case, your stargazers, as you've dropped anchor, you're doing this. As you're doing your montage, your stargazers are there. Some of them are staring up at the sky, but one of them is just looking through the hole in this ship. No, I say she. She's just smiling. Those eggs, kind of like the stars when you think about it. You know, constellation in a space. And the other stargazers are kind of looking at her, just slightly like, no. Come on, then, when you think about it, come on. No. But she's doing the best she can. So,
Fair.
would this be a good time for a quick kind of body break? And
I think so. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you
Sure.
to everyone in the audience who was chatting. Sarah Wasp Going On, which is a username I love. Hogan was there. We appreciate you hanging out so much. We're gonna take a quick bio break, and we'll be back soon, so you can do the same. See you in a minute. And here we are back again. Hello, friends. Same weird crew of no bones people. Still on our weird ship that has a hole in it, I guess. But we're back. So yeah, what are we doing now?
your montage is done, and you have a captive in chains. And did you rescue the bearded guy in the trees below you, or did you just become aware that he was there?
I don't think anybody took their montage turn to get him.
Oh.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Then that might be a thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we don't want to leave him. That's we got his buddy, so I guess we should get him
Yeah,
too.
probably.
Yeah. For the Wild Sea, the system it runs on Wild Words, we talk about the focus, and it's essentially just a narrative spotlight. In moments like this, the focus is completely open. Any one of you can just take it and run with it. Ask questions, do a thing. As long as it furthers the narrative and keeps the conversation going, do what you like.
Cool.
So focus is open.
Since this is a ship of people who are all interested in like salvage and stuff, I'm going to assume that we might have some sort of like setup of like harnesses and winches, etc., right? So, you know, the sort of thing where you could like sit in and get lowered down to go, you know, pick up wrecks or whatever. So I assume that we
safe assumption.
Yeah, that we could probably pull out that kind of stuff in order to get down to that person to rescue them.
Actually, good rules point. You would probably be able to, even if you didn't literally have one, you'd probably cobble one together quite easily from stuff on your ship. But because it's not a literal part of your ship that you've bought, you wouldn't get any like bonuses from using it, etc.
Yeah.
But yeah, narratively, yeah, of course you can.
Okay.
So he hit me with an axe, so I'm probably not going to go dangle from the ship and rescue him.
Valid.
I have ancient wiring as a resource. It seems
Ooh.
like
Oh.
something I could like make into something to dangle somebody. I'm not saying Cork, but a volunteer.
Yeah, most definitely. And that would give you a bonus on what you're doing because it's using a resource.
So as I am large and spiny, you may not want to swing me at him like a wrecking ball.
Or maybe you do.
Maybe yeah. Trem, how
like
mad
Velcro,
are you at
you
this
just
guy?
pick him up.
Just stick to him.
I can go, and I have tides, and I feel like I'm pretty agile as I'm moving around, so I could go down, and depending how far he is, maybe I could even harvest stuff while I'm dangling. So I could overcome the the injury and go for him if that's what we want to do. How's
If
that
you want to
harness
go for
looking?
it, you go for it.
Oh, do I have to roll to?
You could roll to create something with the rattle skill. You can roll to create a thing that will last, and it will have its
have
own
the
little
rattle
track
skill.
and stuff. And
Oh, cool.
but you don't have to. You could just say, "I'm going to use this resource," and it will just add 1d6 to whoever's rolling to do the thing. Like it's flexible that way.
It definitely seems like a useful thing to have in the future.
Yeah.
So I guess I would like to roll for it.
Okay, in that case, what you need is a second resource.
I have
To make a lasting thing, you need to put two other things together, essentially.
I have bronze rings, so with rings and wire,
Perfect.
it's like a
Nice.
perfect match. Yeah.
Okay. So I use. Do I get a die for the resource?
Yep, you get a die for the resource, and then you get an edge and a skill and an aspect, just a normal roll.
Okay.
So I might use the specific crafting outcome thing rules here, so I'm going to find that out.
So the only one-
I've got the
The
time to
creator
find
of the
page, so-
game, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. So the only one important one is the highest roll, unless there are doubles. It's
Yep.
The highest one was 6, and there's no doubles.
Yeah.
Okay, that is a triumph. A triumph on a creation roll.
The 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
At least you got the 6. For a triumph, the recipient of your creation gains a temporary 2-track aspect related to the resources used. So, you are making some kind of harness. That means one of you, whoever you give the harness to, gets it as like a temporary aspect, just like any of your normal aspects. But when you mark off the boxes completely, that aspect is gone. So that doesn't just mean you can only use it twice. It means that if things go wrong and it gets marked, then you can only have things go wrong twice, essentially. So,
And then that resource is gone.
yes. I mean, there might be an added situation where you get them back, maybe. Like maybe it snaps and the rings come off, but you keep the wire, that kind of thing. But that will be decided in the future when something inevitably goes wrong, as it always does. That's something.
Should we give the harness to Trem since he might be the one going down there?
Yeah, go ahead and harness me up.
Okay, it was what? Bronze
Bronze
rings and wire?
Yeah.
And wire.
Okay, then Brian, on your character sheet, stick down bronze and wire harness and give it 2 boxes on its track. It can go in the notes section, or there might even be a temporary benefit section if you're using one of the actual character sheets, but it doesn't really matter that much. Or just scribble it on some paper. I'm fine with
Perfect.
what you do.
It's scribbled. It is scribbled, and it has a 2.
Heck yeah.
Perfect. All right. So I have a harness. I'm very squishy, so I'm firmly in the harness. Someone, I guess, needs to lower me, and then I'm probably going to have to roll pretty high as I'm being dangled into the dangerous canopy.
Yes, that's fair.
So my feet are a little bit like roots, and I can anchor myself into things just to, as I'm standing on the prow of the ship or on the side of the ship. So I will anchor myself down and take the wire from the harness and begin to lower him down.
That's good.
Thank you.
That's a good situational thing for 1d6. You've got the harness helping you as well. That's another 1d6. Edge and skill, I'm going to ask you to cut 1 for this. It is always dangerous and difficult going down into the waves without a ship, but you're not going too far down. You're going to be mostly okay.
So tides is certainly my edge.
Oh yeah, most definitely. That's good.
That is
tides
that is
being
for sure
knowledge
my
of the
edge.
waves and
And I have wave walk as a skill. Is that
that's perfect.
gonna
Yeah,
help?
wave. That
Okay,
absolutely
I feel
perfect.
like I'm at 4 at this stage. Unless, do I get 2 for the harness or just 1 for the harness?
Just 1.
Okay, then I think I'm at 4, and I'm gonna cut
Okay.
1.
4 and cut
Okay,
1.
here we go. It's a 3, friends.
Our lucky number.
I did get a 6, but I cut it, so it's a 3.
Man.
In that case, describe to me how you were so close and what goes wrong, and I'll work out the mechanical bit after that.
Well, so I'm trying to rescue him, and that's the goal. And he was knocked unconscious, and he's sort of dangling over this branch with those dangerous leaves. But I also am very curious about stuff that's around me, and I noticed something interesting, and I maybe pivoted away from him and bumped into him a little, and I think I knocked him a little bit lower. I'm not sure how much lower, but when I turned around, there was no him, and it actually was not really able to grab the thing that I was distracted by either. So
Okay.
I'm fine. But we either need to do a little digging or have some explaining to do to his friend. Unless, yeah,
no,
we're
I think
definitely gonna have
that's
some
that's
explaining to do.
perfect. See, this is one of those bits where I can get across a factor of the world. One of the core elements of the world is that the sailing and the waves are dangerous. It's easy sometimes for wild sailors to become accustomed to life on a ship. And they kind of forget how dangerous the waves actually are. I mean, the smart ones don't. The ones that stay alive for a long time don't. But sometimes you get those moments of like, yeah, we can dip into we can get a bit lower. We can make ourselves a harness and go down there. We'll probably be okay. And yeah, you probably will be okay. But things can go wrong, and this is one of those situations where things went wrong. You jostle a branch. You're looking for something else. You're going to pick him up. Of course, you're going to pick him up. It's going to be fine. And you turn around, and he's gone. And all that's left is a kind of a tuft of beard stuck in the fork of this branch. And you hear the thump and rustle and crack of breaking branches below you, lower and lower and lower until the sound just disappears. That man is gone. But you get a resource. Add to your specimen list, tuft of beard.
All right. Okay.
You get a resource.
So I did rescue some of him.
Yes, you did.
Is that what you say when you come back up?
Well,
It may come up. Yes.
good news, bad news.
One of his distinguishing characteristics is here. The rest of the distinguishing characteristics are not. Yes.
I'm also going to give you an option. If you want, you can mark a point of damage to the harness to go a little bit lower and reclaim the wood axe, which is on a lower branch. And then you would gain that wood axe as a resource as well. Or you would ignore the axe and keep the harness in tip-top condition. You don't have to roll for it, just have to decide.
Am I low enough that I have to decide this myself, or can I ask
You have
whether
to decide
or
it
not?
yourself. Nope.
Okay.
It's all up to you.
That I'm going to give 2 tugs on the harness, and that's the signal to pull me back up with or without the guy. So tug, tug.
All right,
Okay.
so I start pulling him, reeling him back in.
Yeah, Trem, you'll pull back up to the ship. Not the most successful venture, but a harness worked well.
Yeah. And we have all the bits of the harness, so that's nice.
And some beard.
And some beard. A little extra beard.
How much beard are we talking? Like could Trem come up wearing the beard? Or is that too far?
Depends on how you style it, right?
Okay, imagine Aladdin. Imagine Jafar's beard.
Oh my goodness! With the
You've just kind of grabbed the curl. That's how much beard. A fistful of beard.
Got it. Perfect. Okay. Well, I have the beard. I'm back on top.
So no guy.
No. I tried, but he fell and kept falling, and I have his beard.
There is a heavy sigh from your chained prisoner. A mournful sigh. They were obviously maybe not the closest of friends. There's no weeping, there's no wailing, but they were shipmates. And your chained prisoner says, well, it was going to happen eventually, wasn't it?
Sorry.
No, it's not your fault. Who took the parrot?
Was it worth it?
Well, given that I've just lost my ship, my crew, the parrot, and I'm chained up, I'm going to say no. Could it have been worth it? Yeah, of course it could.
So why did you take the parrot to begin with? Why did you get into all this?
Oh, parrots are special birds. They can talk, you know. Yours definitely can. Mm-hmm. And you know what they say about? And he tries to gesture, but he's still chained up. So it's kind of you know what they say. Transference. You know, the kid learns from the parent. You hatch a snake under a parrot. Maybe that snake can talk. Who knows? You may know that this is not going to work. Yes.
Well, and who would want talking snakes? Exactly.
Look, you're asking yourself the wrong question. Who wouldn't want to talk snake?
He does have a point.
Where we were going, you can trade anything for anything if you find the right person. So, you know, snake.
Were you going to hatch the eggs yourself, or were you taking the eggs and the parrot to somebody?
Well, I'm gonna level with you here. We hadn't thought that far ahead, but we also thought we'd have a bit more time to think about it once we'd escaped you guys.
So you were going to steal one parrot and hatch all those eggs so everything could talk.
Well, as far as, look, we got the eggs. This is not, you're talking about this plan like it was a terrible plan, but we've got 95% of the way there. Do you know how rare parrots are?
How rare are parrots?
Surprisingly. Side note, they are surprisingly rare.
Oh, okay.
This is just a general wildty thing. It happened throughout creation. Don't know why. Birds are weirdly rare. Like, there just aren't that many birds on the wildty. There's loads of insects and things and weird flying things, but birds are surprisingly rare. So.
I guess that makes sense, actually. Like, considering, we could get into MacArthur's songbirds and the different layers of the trees. But yeah, like, most birds spend their time in some part of the structure of the forest rather than flying above it. But since the whole interior structure of the forest is dangerous, I guess maybe that makes sense.
I'll say that was scientifically based when I made it.
So, if you could rescue any of the eggs that are in there, are there any that are more valuable to you than the rest, or are they all the same?
Oh, there are some that are definitely more valuable, believe me.
Which ones?
That's a great question. And if I wasn't chained up and at your mercy, I might tell you that. But I'm going to go out on a limb here, much like my erstwhile friend did a minute ago, and say that as the fact that you tried to save him at least means that you're probably not going to hurt me. So why would I give you that information?
Well, what are your alternatives? Like, your ship has a huge hole in it, you don't have any crew anymore, and you're stuck here with us.
Yeah, I'll grant you, none of those things are great. But I've been in worse situations. No, that's a lie. I haven't been in worse situations, but I've been in other situations, and they've all led me here. So
This guy is charming.
We have the eggs. Can't we just ask somebody else?
yeah.
So do we want to get all the eggs? Do we
Ooh,
feel that they're
that's-
valuable enough?
He makes a big show of the whole like. Oh, ho, 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 ho. I mean, if that's what you want to do, you go for it. It's, yeah, he is. Yeah, there's obviously more to this.
This is the part where one of those eggs hatches into like a shape-shifting monster and eats all of us.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel nervous about those
Yeah.
eggs hatching.
I vote we leave them on the ship, the other ship, since we're taking the ship with us. Like, let's not risk our hull.
Yeah, it could work.
Wait, are we taking the whole ship or just like pieces of it?
I don't know. The engine works, so my thought was that we either, I don't know if there's a way to remotely pilot it. One of us might have to do that if we want to take it, or just take pieces with us.
Something like that, like remotely piloting something, you could theoretically do that with the right kind of resources and a good rattle roll, but that would be a really hard thing to do. Like, kind of cut 2, cut 3 kind of thing, even with the right stuff.
Yeah.
And their ship is barely seaworthy right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might be more prudent just to salvage what we want from it. And then we could leave him with his eggs.
No.
Well, I've got to say, I'm entirely at your mercy. So whatever you decide, I guess I'll go along with it. But I would say also, not to hurry you, but the clock's ticking. And as he says that, I'm going to start another track. This is a hidden track. You know it exists. Don't know how long it is. And it's called Some Eggs Hatch.
Great.
It has a number of boxes, which is greater than 1 and less than 4.
Oh, neat. You want to play the stats on that, academics? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've marked the first box.
Is there any material I can grab that would be good for fixing our ship? Because I know we have a hole.
That's a really good question. To which the answer is, it depends how well you roll. Because it's going to be a hard roll, because their ship is made of very different material to yours. Could you patch up your hull? Yeah, easily. Could you patch it up in a way that doesn't negatively affect the ship in the long run? Probably not, unless you find some really good stuff. So
Okay.
because
So-
what's your hull made of?
Chrysalid.
Yeah, you're going to want to find something that's at least vaguely similar to do a long-term repair thing on it.
How much are functioning engines or ship engines worth? Like, if we were going to go barter with that, I would think that would be fairly valuable. Since we did repair it, we could maybe salvage that.
And the saws.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. As to the question of how much anything is worth, entirely depends on what you're trying to do with it, who you're selling it to, what condition it's in, everything. There is, in almost every bit of the wild sea that people have ever explored, there's no monetary system. Everything is barter. Everything is worth what it is worth to someone else. So, but there are obviously some things that are quote unquote worth more than others. A fully functioning ship engine, yeah, that's going to fetch a good price.
So I think at least we should go try to salvage the saws and the ship engine off the ship, and then depending on what the state of the eggs looks like, we can make a decision before we detach and sail away.
Well, Carn, you can see heat, right? So theoretically, you should be able to see the embryos, and if they're developed, or if they're moving, or if they're starting to hatch.
That's interesting. I think we should try that.
Like
That's
basically,
really cool. Yeah.
handling the eggs, but with your eyes, right? Yeah.
That's not something I've ever tried before. I think we should go see what they look like.
That's a really cool idea. I'm going for it. Yeah.
If you haven't candled an egg before, it's really cool.
It is really cool.
Yeah.
Now, are any of us warm-blooded? No.
What's
No.
blood?
Do we have blood? It
Already
occurred to me as soon as I said
My
it.
cytoplasm, you mean?
Yeah, you're the you have hemolymph, which is not.
Yeah, you're the closest.
Yeah.
Great.
No bones, no blood.
So I think I'm going to be important in the salvage since I'm immune to bees and I can see through the eggshells.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go ahead and climb over to the other ship and start detaching things. If one of you wants to go up on the deck and start figuring out how to get the saws off.
How securely tied up is our friend?
It's secure enough that they're probably not going to go anywhere.
Okay, we don't need to leave someone with him.
Well, you can leave the stargazers with them. The stargazers are
Yeah.
capable. They're an
I keep
undercrew
forgetting
choice,
they're
which means they
actually-
Okay, right.
Yeah.
they have a function and they're mostly
They
there
can
for
look
their
down
function,
sometimes.
but-
Okay.
but narratively, yeah, you can.
We
be
also
"Hey,
have like
not the sky. Look at the guy.
we also have like mantis
We
sentries.
do.
We should
Yeah.
surround him with mantises before we
Or
leave.
just the parrot, right? The parrot will scream.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yell if he
That's
does
true.
anything.
That's true.
Ring of stargazers. And
One parrot.
that poor guy in the middle just, I guarantee I'm not going anywhere. Wouldn't even try.
Oh, we could feed him to the pitcher plant. I forgot that was down there.
If needed.
If needed.
If
Yeah.
needed.
Everything's fuel if you try hard
We could
enough.
feed the eggs to the pitcher plant if they seem problematic.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, well, I don't like to sit still, so I think I want to move over to that ship. I can help to examine the eggs, and I can also try to help salvage those saws.
Okay. Let's run this as another montage. Let's have you all get something done. In fact, because there's no time pressure for this one, you don't even really have to roll for what you're doing, just to try and attempt to do the thing. So, yeah, each of you describe a task that you are undertaking.
So first, I'm going to go over and contain the bees and disconnect the engine and box it up and bring it back.
Yeah, fair enough. It takes a while. In fact, it takes long enough and is bee-based enough that I'm marking another box
no.
on the
Great.
attracted by bee breadcrumbs track, just so you know. It's close to being full, so just
good.
keep that in mind for future bee-based endeavors. But yeah, that does work. And you can add to your ship's cargo. What is the specific engine called? It does have a name.
I like that because you're a steep, you have like a steam cloud, right? I wonder if that can act kind of like smoking to like
To
calm them
calm the
down.
bees.
Yeah.
It is a tamed hive.
Tamed
Yep.
hive.
Right.
Yeah, you've got it as a kind of big piece of cargo now, essentially.
Yeah.
Oh, the difference between cargo and resources is literally size. Resources you can carry in a person, cargo you store on the ship.
Gotcha.
All right, well, I'm going to try to pull those saws down.
Okay.
How many are there?
It's the kind of chainsaw attachment on the front.
Yeah.
It's one large thing that runs the length of their prow.
Okay.
Probably split into multiple parts at one point for extra kind of grip and movement.
All right.
Taking the whole thing apart would take days. It's
Okay.
integral to the ship itself. But taking enough of it to have like a working kind of rotary chainsaw part, not too much trouble. Like you'd have to break some of the wood away and but you're salvaging. It's part of the job.
Okay.
So you wouldn't get like a full bite thing, but you'd still get a nice chunky bit of cargo that would be useful and worthwhile.
Okay. Yeah, I'll pull the chain off and then I'll remove what I can that's poking out, breaking a little bit of the boat because that boat is in the past tense, essentially. And does that go into my resources?
You can take bits as a resource if you want, or you can have the whole thing as a cargo item. It's up to you.
Ooh, okay, we'll have the whole thing as a cargo item.
Okay, then just got like chainsaw attachment.
Cool.
Yes, I'd want to at least temporarily patch our ship. Not a long-term thing, but
yeah, that is fair. You taking bits from their ship to do it?
yes.
Okay. In that case, for this one, do you want to roll to see if you find bits that would actually work long term, just in case? If you fail the roll, it's not going to go horribly for you. It's not the kind of, you're not going to lose more arms, is what I'm saying.
It's always a fear of mine.
But for this one, if you want, you can just roll a single d6.
Okay.
It's kind of what is it? Fortune die. Yeah.
That's a 3.
No. You can patch up your ship enough that it'll make it to the next port without the damage getting worse. But you would still need to repair it properly at some point.
Meldy is going to do that obnoxious thing where you sort of like follow someone around that like they're busy doing something and you're trying to do something like to or for them and try to put those arms back on using sharps and tend and my doctor bag.
Oh yeah, that's good. You go for it. And that one will also now you can choose. Are you going to roll for it or not? If you don't, and you expend a resource of some kind that's going to be helpful or appropriate, then Cork can just clear 1 mark from the damage track. If you roll for it, you might heal more, or you might screw it up. So it's a sure small good, or a less sure possible much better, possible much worse.
How do you feel?
I'm fine to risk it.
Okay. Can I... Were you saying I could also use a resource on the roll, though? Or would it be one or the other? Oh, okay.
In fact, for recovery, you need to use a resource.
Oh,
much like the tea was the resource that was
Right.
used to heal everyone a little bit.
I have a luminescent bone, so if you don't mind having a single bone that glows...
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, go for it.
Does that adds another d6?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It's a single bone.
So just one. We have one bone. Oh man. So that's 3 2s, and the high is a 4.
Okay, that's a conflict. That's fine.
Okay.
Heal 1 mark of damage, so as if you hadn't rolled. It could have been 2, could have been none or worse,
Yeah.
but so an average result.
Yeah. Thanks, Meldy. I mean, after whenever this happens, it's a lot. Thank you for.
Of course.
Did you say there were 3 2s?
There were 3 2s.
That's a twist.
Yeah.
But because we're doing a proper recovery roll, that has a special effect.
Uh-oh.
You don't consume the resource used to carry out this recovery.
Oh, so maybe I use it as like armature to like help like put things in the right angle. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
it means you can be left with like a shard of bone in you, Cork, if you want it, but it's entirely up to you. However you describe it narratively, Meldy still has the luminescent bone.
Neat. I feel like maybe you used it to like push the arm back in.
Like stuffing a stuffed animal, just like
Yeah.
I was going to say, that's very advanced surgery. Just get back in. Press it in as much as you can. Fixed.
ta-da!
Good as
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, your montage is done. It did take some time, so I'm putting a mark on the track. Some eggs hatch, and you hear rustling and cracking from below the deck of the other ship that some of you are on. Just as a side note, that's a thing that you hear.
Well, we better get the parrot over there if we want them to talk.
Really? That was your...
The Parrot-Napper on your deck is just like, you see? I said it. You see? The thing is, you never know until you try.
If we're all on the ship, I propose that we leave.
You don't want to see what's in the eggs?
Is anyone feeling really curious about the slither sounds over there?
Well, if they're worth a lot.
Yeah.
So I hear Trem say we should leave, and I just kind of come down and poke my head through the door where all these sounds are happening, and quickly say, "Yup, we need to go." As I see through these eggs.
Are you okay? In that case, let's introduce a new mechanic.
Ooh.
Every character has something called Mayas. Mayas are negative things, negative aspects of your character, essentially negative elements of you. When something really bad happens that might have a psychological or lasting effect, you mark a Maya. By looking with your lovely infrared vision at these eggs, you see something that you did not want to see, and you will definitely mark a point of Maya. Which Maya you mark is up to you.
So,
what are your Mayas? That's a good start.
So for a steep, one of the Myers is paranoia engulfs you, and that seems to fit here. So I'll mark that one.
Great.
Okay, I like it. In that case, what do you see in these eggs? You describe to me a few things that you see that don't spark that Maya, and then I'll describe to you the one thing that you see that does make that mark on you.
So I see that there are a whole lot of different types of creatures in there, and some of them have not enough legs. Some of them have far too many legs. Some of them that don't have enough legs appear to also have large wings and teeth, which is a little concerning, especially since the guy we have chained up on the ship started talking about talking snakes, which is a little, again, also concerning, and most of them are still pretty still, but one of the larger eggs, it's hard to tell what's inside it, but it's starting to move, and I can see where eyes should be inside of it, and it looks like it's starting to open its eyes.
Fair. And let me tell you what sets that kind of that last little bit, that last little moment for you. One of the eggs definitely has a person in it.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Like an ardent type
Yep,
person?
like an ardent. Yep, an ardent.
How big is the egg?
It's a big egg.
like a baby person, or like an adult?
No, an adult sized
person in this big egg.
Cool. Great.
Oh.
So this seems to be the one that's starting to wake up and open its eyes.
That's perfect.
So I lean back out and I go, I think there's a guy in one of those eggs. Do we leave the guy, or should we try to rescue this terrible guy? My money's on running away.
How does the Parrot-Napper react?
The Parrot-Napper is having a coughing fit. Just run, run.
Why did you have that on your ship if you're afraid of it?
Let me say this to you. Have you ever carried a cargo that's dangerous?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever thought, maybe I should put that cargo in a cage and have someone watch it as we travel?
We have you trained up for a reason, yes.
I like that. That's good. That's good. If there was a trust track running, you'd have earned a point of trust.
Yeah.
See, we thought that at some point we'd reach our next port, and that we'd probably have until then, and then we could offload it, and it would be a valuable thing to sell. And in the meantime, there'd always be one of us that could watch the eggs to see if they're hatching or not. Now some of them are hatching because I've been sitting here and because my friend is down in the under eaves, and that's not good because he's probably dead. And you've got me chained up on a ship, so you're going to have to deal with it yourself. But I'll tell you one thing, I don't want to be here for it. Or, just saying, as an option, you could let me go to deal with it.
Well, we do have his engine and we have his saws, so he could go deal with it, but he can't really do anything else to us.
It is entirely up to you.
What is it?
Well, I don't want to shock you. It's an egg.
If I had a face, it would look disappointed. Where did you find it?
Oh, that's you know those questions you sometimes ask that you don't want answers to really, but you feel you ask them. You feel like you have to.
I never don't want an answer to a question.
All right, that's fine. Took it out of the belly of a leviathan.
Oh.
Oh.
I think he was right. I didn't want to know that.
So we were talking about leaving.
That's so interesting. Now I have all of these egg-related questions.
Egg-related questions.
Well, I mean, like, is it just was the person swallowed by the Leviathan, and now there's just, like, calcification around the person, so it kind of looks like an egg, but actually it's more like a kidney stone? You know, that, like, he's not really hatching so much as, like, escaping, right? Or is it like, oh, the Leviathan
That's a risk you could
laying
take.
people eggs? Like, I don't know.
You know, weirdly enough, there are actually answers to those questions. I mean, this is a thing you couldn't. This is one of the things where it comes to the Wild Sea, which I think is important to keep in mind. The story evolves as you do things. This is why we don't plan. We just have ideas that we don't want to use, and blah blah blah. Lack of railroading, etc., etc. If uncovering the mystery of these eggs is something that you as a group want to focus on, you can keep incorporating into the story. If not, it can be one of those curiosities that gets talked about, remembered, laughed about, and forgotten. It's entirely up to you. It just so happens that I do know some of the mysteries behind these eggs because I know what I'm thinking about when I talk about them.
Excellent. Team, what are we doing with this guy and his cargo of eggs?
Do we think it's a person?
It looks like a person. It looks like a person.
Carn is very unsettled.
Looks like a person.
So I see two paths here. We can leave and forget about this thing. Or we could collect clearly the most valuable egg. And was that egg hatching? I mean, the eyes opened, so...
Oh yeah, that egg is definitely close to hatching.
Okay. So I'm leaning toward option one. But if we get it, then we could, study it and also leave at the same time.
It's in a cage. Sorry, go for it.
Oh, it
is in a large cage. Yes, it is in a large cage.
Well, maybe we take the cage. I'm going to worry about it constantly, but maybe we take the cage and it will be contained. And they had this on the ship for a reason.
Yeah.
Okay, I will let you do it. I'm happy to let you do it. You can add a new cargo item. Caged ardent egg.
Nice.
Caged.
Nice.
Ardent egg.
I'm gonna go ahead and wrap the egg in the piece of beard that I have. Just to hold it secure and warm.
You mean just like put the little bit of beard on top, right? Because
Yeah.
this is like probably like a, what, if the person's in like the fetal
I was
position, like
thinking
a
of,
3 or
like,
4 foot egg. Like,
wrapping around the bottom, but only making it like a hilariously small amount of weight.
In
But
my
yeah,
head,
on
you-
top's good too.
You put it on top like a toupee. Like the egg has a little toupee now.
It seems like it needs to be an egg toupee, actually. So I'm putting it on top.
and all of these eggs were just like egg in a cage, like the way a dove lays an egg on a branch with no nest, right? Like they weren't wrapped in
some
anything.
of them are secured, some
Okay.
of them are, yeah, but
it
a
wasn't like
lot
they
of them
were
are
being...
just eggs in cages.
Okay, it's not like they were being like actively incubated or anything, right? Like
No.
Okay.
This is another thing that's a kind of world specific thing. A lot of the wild sea is a tough place to survive. A lot of these eggs are going to be like, you could take a hammer to them and it would still take a...
Right.
Think of them more like coconuts than like, chicken eggs. They're going to take a beating before they crack.
Dragon eggs. Okay, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Well, we take the big one. You want any of the others?
We could
feel like
put a
worrying
small
about
one in
one
the
egg.
engine.
It just bloop.
I feel like we would be foolish not to take a couple of small ones to
Yeah.
feed the engine because we're heading on this journey.
Yeah.
In that case, let me have you roll
Oh god.
an acquisition roll. This is for finding stuff, and you can use whatever skills are going to be appropriate to you. That's up to you. But the roll itself has a few special rules, including a special thing on a twist. So,
Who's rolling?
entirely up to you. But with every roll, I'm going to fill in another box on the some eggs hatch track, just so you know.
So I have harvest as a skill. I imagine that would be useful.
Yep,
here.
that could work.
Okay.
I also have harvest. Can I help?
Yeah, you could make a separate roll, or you could help with Carn.
Go ahead and add another.
Another? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that gives me 4, I think.
No cut for this one. You are rolling the dice as they come.
Okay.
The eggs are there on the shelves.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I got a 5. So
Nice.
wait.
Any doubles?
No.
Okay. A 5 is a conflict. You gain a resource with a negative tag. So, describe the egg that you get, the one that stands out to you, and then I will add a negative to it.
Oh boy.
Okay, so I pick one of the ones that is sort of medium sized. It is sort of bright and iridescent in color, but I can kind of see inside it. This one looks like it's very sleepy. But it is one of the ones that looks like it has not enough legs, but a couple of wings.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to say that one of the downside of this thing, this is the one that stands out to you, but it's only once you've picked it up and maybe examined it later that you realize that those wings haven't quite formed properly. Like there's some tatters and things in them. Whatever wasn't about this egg, it might not be able to fly the way it was originally intended to. So let's call it a sickly iridescent egg.
Okay.
And you add that as a specimen to your character. Just a kind of resource. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I will mark the some eggs hatch track. And that means that track is fully marked.
Oh, good.
So
there we go.
Vikram and Brian, your characters are both down there harvesting these eggs. Which means that when this egg hatches, the bad thing that's happened to both of you. One of the eggs hatches. This is an egg that you kind of looked over and... heat vision. Oh, you would have just seen a slight warmth filling up the entirety of the egg. Like no discernible shape, just a kind of general.
Okay.
And this egg is kind of more nut-like than like everything. It's this kind of brown, husky substance on the side of it. And when it splits open, little tendrils and shoots just kind of push out like a little seedling sprouting. And then there's this moment where one of them touches the metal bar of the cage and then immediately wraps around it. And that seedling develops an iron-hard shell. And then the whole thing just explodes outwards. huge spears of iron and vegetable matter, just like a sea urchin suddenly expanding. It doesn't fill the whole cargo hold, but it does smash several of the other eggs, and it will go through one of the two of you. I'm gonna roll a d6. No, I'm gonna let you roll a d6. Whoever rolls lower, you're gonna get hurt.
Okay.
Good luck.
I rolled a 6.
I rolled a 4.
Okay,
But
in that case,
it's not gonna hurt me too much, I don't feel.
Trem,
get more
I would like you to
toes.
take 3 points of spike damage. So 3 marks on one of your aspects.
All right, I'm marking hyper adaptive.
Y'all gotta stop giving the doctor jobs.
Describe how you mark that hyperadaptive. What does it do? Does it just like graze your neck or something as a, pierce your vocal cords? How does this
So, I am trying to move out of the way of these quickly expanding spikes, and one of them goes entirely through my arm, and I just tear it through perpendicularly and then move away. So I do have an injury to one arm, which is fairly sizable, but I often expand and become thinner. So all hope is not lost for me, but it does hurt, and I am leaving faster than I was before.
That makes sense. From the deck of your ship, you hear the Parrot-Napper just being like, "Oh, I knew that was going to happen at some point."
And what was your plan when it started happening?
Not to be the one in the room. What do you think I was driving the ship?
No honor among thieves.
Look, thief is a very strong but entirely appropriate word for me.
Oh man. Well,
Shall we feed that sickly egg to our engine and go?
I feel like we're gonna have to because the
Yeah.
wings are already messed up, and
Okay.
we gotta get out of here.
Okay.
If you do plan on leaving, there is not much left between you and the nearest port, so you can just get there. Especially with the speed booster for sickly egg, you can get there without much incident.
Okay, so we feed the sickly iridescent egg to our carnivorous plant engine, and we take off.
Okay, that is fair. I will still ask who is at the helm, who is driving the ship.
I don't know. Do y'all trust me to keep driving, or should I give somebody else a turn?
You've been doing a great job.
We're very much still alive, so
Okay, I guess I'll drive.
Okay. Now, one thing to note: the Wild Sea, the world of the Wild Sea, in terms of like being a game world, is not a thing that you map out as you go through it, unless you want to. But you could return. You know where this ship is. You could return to it at a later date if you needed to. Like you can remember and mark it on your kind of in-universe charts. Shipwreck here.
Yeah.
So just sign to, it's not going to. But if there's a root quake, which means the topography of the waves changes, or if it gets looted by someone else while you're away, like it might not be in the same condition when you get back. Is what
Or
I'm
all
saying.
the eggs hatch and escape. And...
Yeah,
Or all the eggs
hatch.
hatch. Yeah. Yeah. It is one of the things. The world is persistent, essentially.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
But okay, yeah. On your journey, I'm going to ask you one question, which is, what do you do with your captive?
like while we're on
you
the
could
way.
answer, yeah, exactly. Well, you could answer just leave him chained on the deck. Like that's a fine answer. But he is obviously unhappy with the situation. In fact, in his words, could just let me, have a walk around. It's not like I'm going to do anything. Where am I going to go? I've seen what happens to people that go over the edge. Today, in fact, because of you. All right, because of us, but you were involved. I'm trying to be fair here.
At least he's honest, I guess.
We were involved. A
It
man
really
died
seems like it was
today in
your
a
fault.
sailor-related incident.
Yeah, look. we can both spin this tale however we want. History is written by the victors, etc. But from my perspective, you killed a man for a parrot.
He fell.
After he gave Trem an extra toe.
Yeah.
Yeah, just want to point this out. I've heard the excuse "he fell" quite a lot in my career. Very rarely true.
Oh man!
If we wanted to kill him, why did we try to save him?
I'm taking it on your word that you tried to save him. And to be fair, I do believe it, or I'd be there too. But still, got to allow me some interpretation of the facts that favours me.
Do we?
Well, no, but you can't stop me having one, can you?
Oh, that's true.
What are we gonna do with him when we get to port?
Yeah, is there like
Are there like authorities to turn him over
pirates?
to, or
Yeah, pirates.
Yeah.
Let him go.
what other than that are we gonna do with him when we get to port?
Hey, somebody who grew up in a city, what do we do?
Actually, this is an excellent question. The port you're heading towards, which one of you knows about it? Because you all know little bits. You said from your unsettling question at the start, you've all heard rumours and things about it. But have any of you been there before?
I have bundled correspondence, so I have corresponded with someone from there, which informs me as much as their information is valuable.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And an excellent use of that aspect. In that case, you would know the name of it, and you would know roughly what it is. And you would also know, is there like a kind of local law enforcement you could hand them over to? The port you're heading towards is called Clever Jaw Market. It is built into the insides of a massive Leviathan skull. No one has mentioned which creature the Leviathan is, but you know. And it's one of those places that's at the same time lawless and very lawful. As in, lawless, you can pretty much buy and trade anything, even if it's incredibly dangerous and would be quote unquote illegal in other places. But lawful in the whole, they take their trading seriously, and if that's the kind of thing that you want to mess with, they will eject you probably into the sea. As for local law enforcement, if it's down to piracy is really profitable for Clever Jaw Market. Pirates come in and trade things. So as you know, they probably wouldn't do anything with them. They just let them go.
And he has no ship and no cargo. We could just drop him off.
I say we put him in the cage with the egg for the journey, and then we let him out and tell him that he had better learned his lesson when we get to port.
I like this.
I love this idea.
I like this a lot.
Let's do that.
This
And we
egg
could say
that's, like,
it's
about
your
to
turn
hatch.
to watch.
Babysitter.
Great.
Oh, maybe if you sit on it, it'll learn to talk.
Yeah, make sure that you're speaking as it hatches. Because we want to talk to this.
As you put him in the cage, he's just going to look at all of you in turn and just go, I just want to let you know in advance, I will remember this. If I'm able to, I will remember this.
Fair enough.
As a good lesson should be remembered.
Yeah, you cage him with the egg, which is another good phrase. Yeah. And you sail on. You have dealt with your first problem and the outcome of your first problem. And before the day is up, probably as night is about to fall, in the kind of twilight time, you see, coming closer and closer, Clever Jaw Market. It is a riot of color. The skull of Leviathan itself is mostly kind of bone yellow. It's not particularly impressive, but the lower jaw has murals and things painted all over it, and all of the buildings inside are inside that jaw, built up around the teeth. So the actual hollow of the skull of this thing, which is probably a good kind of mile across, Leviathans are big, really big. like proto-leviathans or the smallest leviathans, yeah, they might be the size of a ship or maybe like a big kind of super tanker style ship. But proper leviathans, they can be miles long. They define the world in some ways. And this thing was obviously, it was a thing. It was a really big thing at some point.
Sorry, is this resting like on the waves, or is this like in a crater?
Imagine it kind of like this is the jaw.
Okay.
Okay. Lower jaw, upper jaw. Waves at the bottom of the thing.
Okay.
So like the kind of sharp end of the jaw is poking out of the waves slightly in the top of the skull.
Cool.
The kind of hinge, the jaw where it attaches, that's just below the waves.
Okay.
I like being able to do a visual thing. That's useful. Yes. But yeah, so Cleverjaw Market is coming up, and you hear the sounds of trade, the sounds of bustling, the sounds of calling and hawkers and marketeers. You also hear the sound of warning bells. And Trem, was it you had correspondence about this place?
Yes.
You know that when night falls, they close the jaw.
Oh,
that's cool.
I like that.
Yeah. That's really
so
cool.
you're gonna want to get there
right
fast.
now.
No,
I like that.
But if you get there, you are staying the night. Like that is a yeah.
Do we want to stay the night there? I feel like yes, because that's our destination, but also that's the bad time.
Yes, you have heard that it gets a bit wild at night.
It depends how long we want this guy and this egg on the ship with us.
Because otherwise we're here till morning with, anyone else that may be unsavory that didn't make it in.
Yeah.
I vote we go in and take our chances.
Let's go in.
Yes.
Okay. You sail through. You only get kind of a minute or so in before the jaw very slowly starts to hinge closed as the sun disappears over the horizon. But you are entering the docks of Cleverjaw Market. When you get to a kind of berth, I suppose, a decent place to leave your ship, you see dock workers, actually most of them big burly ectus types, the kind of cactus fibrous people of the wild sea. You see dock workers throwing out chains to your ship to kind of help you kind of pull yourself in, fit yourself snugly against the deck. And one of them shouts up at you in Saprec, which is the ectus kind of bloodline language. Do any of you speak it?
I do.
Okay. Hey, you never. I've seen a lot of people who play a bloodline and don't take that bloodline's language, so it's never a given. But yeah, they shout up to you in Saprec, possibly because they saw you on deck. It's mostly just guidance on how to secure chains, pull yourself in, where you should be going, etc. But they do seem happy to see another Ectus, and you can tell by scanning the kind of crowds that you can see. Lots of the dock workers are Ectus, not many other people are.
Okay. So we pull in and I begin to just talk with them and catch up with them. And, as a amberclad, I have lost a lot of my memories, or I've woken up without a lot of memories. So I'm trying to sort of catch up with them and figure out what's going on.
Yeah. This would be a good time to describe what is an amberclad.
So over to the description.
Or what does it mean for your character? Like that's I don't.
Right. Oh, okay. I see. So, in general, I have been, asleep or unaware for quite some time. And as I've woken up and I'm trying to regain my memories and figure out what happened, pre-verdant and everything else, because I've been asleep for a long time, that drives a lot of my decision making. And as soon as I see other people that I can communicate with, I will often go after information sort of to the exclusion of other things, sort of single-mindedly.
I like it. Then you can swap some gossip and stories and greetings with these actors as you draw closer. Roll me a single d6 fortune roll.
4.
You get, as you draw in, one small whiff, just for a moment, the scent of the Eaton Desert, the ancestral Ectus homeland. The smell of that sand is something that's just ingrained into you. You would recognize it anywhere. You don't know where it is, you don't know who has it, but someone has at least a few grains of proper Eaton Desert sand on them, which is just a nice, comforting thing.
Mm-hmm.
And a valuable thing.
So I guess I begin, I smell it and I'm trying to figure out who that might be. That's kind of my next step, I think.
Yeah, it would be hard to find, but entirely possible, but it would be hard to find because it literally is a few grains of sand.
just really well. Or I start communicating with the other Ectus around to see maybe if another one of them has woken up. Maybe there's another amberclad there that may have shared some of these experiences and experiences. So that's what I spend my time doing now.
Actually, as you start talking to them, they kind of wave you off. They've got other ships to tend to, people who want to leave before the jaw closes, but they tell you if you want to, they will give you the name of a junction house where they drink in the evenings, and you could, if you want, go and meet them for a drink and a chat. They'd happily buy you a drink. They don't see many active visitors here.
Okay. So I think that's, once we get everything squared away, I think that's where I'll head next.
Yeah. That's the kind of thing, a montage task in the evening, that would be the kind of thing you could do as a nice kind of information gathering thing. But yeah, you pull your ship in. If you choose to go ashore, you don't have to. You could spend the night on your ship. It's entirely fair. It's your ship. Or you could try and get lodgings in town. Again, junction houses, or just junctions, they're normally called. A junction is like part traditional fancy style pub tavern and part like bounty hunting station and part bar and also part post office, because lots of letters and things need to be sent over the sea. So, yeah. Lots of scattered communities and split families and things. So, yeah, junctions are your pretty much go-to for anything.
Well, I guess we can let the guy out of the cage.
Who wants to let the guy out of the cage? I'm smiling for a completely unrelated reason, just so you know.
You were way too excited about it.
Yeah.
Who wants to let
terrifying.
Yeah. Oh man.
I can let him out of the cage.
Okay.
What?
Trem.
Yes.
Which one do you let out?
Oh God, no! There's two people in there now. No.
Do they look the same?
Oh, they look identical.
What?
Oh,
no!
no.
I said it was a shapeshifter.
The egg has hatched as you've made the last part of your journey, and the two people now sitting in there, both kind of scowling at each other slightly, and they look up at you as you come in, and one of them goes, I don't want to say I told you so. But I did warn you that something like this might happen. And then the other one goes, or, just so you know, could have been me.
All right.
Spider-Man meme.
Yeah.
I'm going to grab the tuft of beard and I'm going to say, what is this? To both of them.
They look at each other and then both look at you, and at exactly the same time in exactly the same voice. Tuft of beard.
Whose beard?
My friends. And everyone says, not exactly friend. It's, acquaintance at most. Oh, yeah, I suppose acquaintance. But we had some times together, didn't we? Oh, yeah, we definitely did.
This is... He's beside himself.
That's, yeah. My line of inquiry has not resulted in any useful information.
So he did give us a clue, though, because he said he would remember it if he could. So maybe this thing sort of, has all of his memories and thoughts. So maybe they're two of a kind now? Which is...
Just from the cage. We can hear you,
Yes? Are you two of a kind? Would you agree?
How would we know? How would I know?
We have something shiny to hold up a mirror for them. In any case, this seems like a valuable curiosity that we can still offload. Because we
I'm not even going to tell you what I'm thinking about that.
We don't need a caged peanut gallery in the middle of the deck of the ship.
Yeah, this is going to get old real fast.
Yeah.
Is there any reason that we should be afraid of the clone, the twin? I mean, why don't we just release both of them and then they can figure out what they do?
Well, if one of them's like a leviathan monster or something that is going to go on a rampage in the spit, might not be a good idea.
Right.
One of them leans forward and goes, "Just so you know, definitely not a monster, but I am not taking off the table the idea of going on a rampage. That might happen.
Oh boy.
So you know." Not connected to being locked in a cage for the last few hours at all. Nothing like that.
Man, the shell is still in there with them, right?
Yes.
Ooh.
Okay, so can I use study? And I can even spit out my bones and sort of like wiggle parts of myself in the cage so we don't have to let them out in order to study the eggshell to like try to figure out more about
like that.
this.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
you go for it.
Alright, so I'll use sharps and study. And do I have anything else?
Actually, just a slight aside. As you do that, not about you continue making your roll.
Yeah.
Infrared vision.
Oh yeah.
One of them is slightly cooler than the other.
Ooh, I
However-
love your infrared vision.
However, you can't tell which one is the right temperature for a person because you don't have much of a reference.
I don't
point,
know.
really.
Yeah.
We don't have another ardent. Okay.
But there is obviously a difference between them.
Okay, this isn't what Wild's theoretician says it does, but it like feels like it's along the same vein, right? Like that do I need to consume a whisper in order to study this eggshell in this person, or
That's a good idea. That's a good way of getting a 1d6 for your roll.
okay?
Yeah.
So Wild's theoretician plus sharps plus 2 for study. That's a 6. Oh, I got 2 6s. Oh boy. Oh no.
That is a
That's the best
triumph
roll
with
we've
a
had.
twist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a triumph with a twist. So but it takes time. You take some time to study this thing. It's not the bits of eggshell that are kind of broken off and been left on the floor, and it's not those that give it away in the end. It's the little fragments of eggshell, which are on both of them, but on one of them they're only on the outside of clothes, and on one of them there's a few little bits in hair.
Yeah.
Just like a few little bits, but enough that you think that hair came out through that breaking eggshell rather than anything else. Whether you give this information to them, entirely up to you, but you are pretty sure that you know which one is which.
Okay.
The twist, however, I'm going to leave open to the table. Extra narrative thing. Could be bad, could be good, could just be interesting. Up to you.
Which one is the warm one?
Oh,
The warm one is the one that does not have the eggshell in there. I mean, they're both warm. Just one is the slightly warm one. It's
Right.
The one that does not have eggshell in there.
So this was a double 6 twist.
Yeah.
So I
Yep.
feel like a good twist would be that while squeezing and examining, she kind of cut off the oxygen to both of them, and they
what?
were knocked unconscious.
Oh my god.
Fine.
I didn't think I was
But-
like.
There was a lot of squeezing, and there was some stretching, maybe. And now we have an idea, but they have also been
They're asleep.
knocked
If
out.
you, If it's a twist you want to render them unconscious as part of this thing, I'm fine with that. Like, you go for it.
Cool.
Yeah,
Stop
I'm down with that.
talking.
Yeah. Oh my god. Well, so I think this one's the one we started with. What do you want to do with both of them?
We have another cage. Do we want to observe? Or do we just want to let this guy go?
It's entirely up to you.
How confident are you that this is the one we started with?
Like 95% sure? Question mark? Yeah.
That's fair.
I'll take that. Now, so I don't like him
Right.
particularly.
Yeah.
I think we let him go like we said we would, but I don't know that we can risk letting the other one out.
Yeah.
But it's
So,
it's
here's a
trades
thorny
goes
question
down.
of morality,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which I'm not going to influence you on. All I will say is, in different parts of the world, see, pretty much any decision that you came to, from letting him become your friend and mentor to killing him and eating him, would be acceptable in various different cultures. So it's very much up to you what you do.
And I kind of love this moral quandary as a cliffhanger for this evening.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Because now we have some time to think about what does it feel right for us to do with this potentially sentient, but maybe just a copy of a sentient being. Here we are in the market. So yeah, we're gonna be back. Oh my goodness, where's my calendar? We're gonna be back at some point in the future. On May 28th, that's it. We will be back playing the Wild Sea again on May 28th, right here. Join us for unexpected eggs and clones and giant cactus men at a bar. I don't know. Felix doesn't know either. We'll make it up as we go.
That's how it goes.
But we hope you enjoyed the science and the roleplay this evening, and just like learning about this system. The Wild Sea is really cool, and you should check it out. I'm having a great time. I hope everybody else is too.
Yeah, me too. It's always fun running a game.
Yay! But with that, we will see you all next month. Bye.
Oh, wait, can I say a thing?
Yes,
Oh.
please do.
Yes, sorry, I should. I just remembered.
Oh, yes.
The publisher would be very annoyed if I didn't.
Yes.
We're doing the first Wild Sea expansion. The Kickstarter page for it, it's called Storm and Root, the Wild Sea Storm and Root. It's all about airships and submersibles and a general expansion to the world. The core book is like 360 pages. Storm and Root is 200-ish, so it's not as big, but it's a good-sized expansion. It was originally just an extra thing, which is going to be like a few pages or a chapter, but then people gave us lots of money for the first book because they liked it, and I was like, I could make that bigger. I could do stuff with that. So we did.
Nice.
But yes, the Kickstarter pre-launch page is up, so you can register interest and do all that stuff. But yeah, if you like it, check it out.
Well, there it is. So again, you can find all these people in places on the internet, podcasts and Twitter, if it's still there, and Instagram and the TikTok and whatever else. Yeah, and this video will be available on our Twitch for a little while, and then eventually I'll make it up onto the YouTube and whatever. So yeah, thanks for coming along with us on our voyage, and we'll see you next time.